Usually when we talk about traveling circuses or carnivals on the show, we're looking at logistics.
Hmm.
We're looking at the economics of ticket sales, maybe the grueling travel schedules, or, the sociology of the fairground, the whole townie versus carny dynamic.
Right, the nuts and bolts.
But today is different. We are looking at a dossier that describes a carnival, yes, but it isn't traveling down the interstate in a convoy of rusty trucks.
No.
It is traveling between planes of existence.
It is significantly different. We are looking at a logistical marvel that really just defies standard physics. This is the Witchlight Carnival.
The Witchlight Carnival.
And to understand it, you have to throw out your understanding of, conventional business operations. This isn't a business, it's a planar vessel.
A vessel disguised as a fun fair. I mean, the source material paints this incredible picture. It touches down on a world, could be a world of rock and lava, could be a standard medieval pastoral setting, could be your backyard. And suddenly the laws of reality just shift.
They do.
We're talking apricot sunsets, regardless of the local time zone. We're talking giant dragonflies buzzing overhead instead of, pigeons.
Exactly. It brings its own atmosphere. It's a self-contained bubble of the Feywild.
Right.
And for those listeners who might be new to planar theory, let's define that quickly. The Feywild is a realm of emotion, nature, and magic, just dialed up to 11.
Everything is more.
Everything is more vivid. The colors are brighter. The shadows are deeper. And emotions are, tangible forces. They have weight.
So our mission for this deep dive is to take this seemingly whimsical, cotton candy-filled fairground and strip it down to its mechanics. We need to understand how it operates, who is really pulling the levers, and why, despite all the glitter and the popcorn, this might be one of the most dangerous places you can buy a ticket for.
It's a deceptive environment. I think that's the core insight here. It presents as a playground, but structurally it's a machine.
A machine.
And it's a machine running on a very, very volatile fuel source, emotion.
Right. So let's start where the visitor starts, the user experience, because the dossier makes it really clear. This isn't just show up, park the car, and walk in.
Not at all.
The arrival itself is a piece of magical engineering.
It is. I mean, think about it. When the carnival lands, it has to integrate into the local environment without just, bulldozing it.
Yeah, you can't just flatten a forest to set up a Ferris wheel.
Well, they have a protocol for this. They use a treant sapling named Northwind.
A tree. So we're talking about a massive sentient tree being.
A young one, yeah, a sapling.
Yeah.
But correct. And Northwind isn't just decoration. He is the landscaping infrastructure.
What does that mean?
He uses an ability to animate the local trees, the ones that are physically in the way of the tents. And he politely asks them to move.
He asks them.
He relocates them. He negotiates.
Which sets the tone immediately. This isn't an invasion. It's a conversation with nature.
Precisely. It's ecological integration. And once that space is cleared, a giant blue ribbon unfurls from one of the wagons and just transforms into a river.
A literal river.
A literal flowing river that encircles the entire site. It acts as a moat, a boundary. So before you even get a ticket, you're physically separated from the mundane world you just came from. You are crossing a threshold.
And then you get to the ticket booth. And this is where the economy of the Witchlight Carnival gets fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
You can pay with silver, 8 silver pieces, standard transaction. But the source material highlights the secondary payment method that completely changes the social dynamic.
The Fey Pact.
The Fey Pact.
This is pure Feywild logic applied to commerce. In the Feywild, value isn't always monetary.
Right.
Value is often experiential or binding. So Nicholas Midnight, he's this elderly goblin running this ticket booth. He offers you a trade. You don't pay money. You pay with a promise.
And these aren't just I promise to be good pledges.
Oh, no.
These are binding magical contracts. The dossier lists examples like agreeing to greet every single tree you see with a bow.
Or promising to never tell a lie while you're inside the gates, which can get tricky.
I'll bet. Or the one that I find most interesting from a behavioral standpoint.
Let me guess. The dancing one.
The dancing one. Perform a dance whenever someone says your name.
It sounds silly on the surface.
Yeah.
You're talking to your friend, they say, hey, Bob. And Bob has to do a little jig right there in the midway.
Yeah, it sounds like a joke. But if you really think about it, that changes the user's role completely.
Exactly. If you pay your 8 silver, you're a customer. You're a passive consumer of entertainment. You're there to be amused.
Right.
But if you agree to dance every time your name is called, you have just become a performer. You are now part of the show.
You've shifted from consumer to participant.
And that is absolutely critical to the carnival's survival, because the carnival runs on the mood meter.
Okay, let's unpack this. The mood meter isn't just a metaphor, is it? It's the engine.
It is the central metaphysical mechanic of the entire site. The Witchlight Carnival is a symbiotic organism. It feeds on the aggregate emotion of the crowd.
So my good time is literally fuel.
Literally. If the vibe is high joy, wonder, excitement, the magic works efficiently. Colors get brighter, fireworks will just launch spontaneously out of nowhere, the snacks taste better, everything is amplified.
And if the mood tanks, if people are miserable or bored,
The environment physically degrades. The calliope music goes all discordant and creepy, the staff gets irritable and short-tempered. And storms form overhead. I mean, literal storm clouds gathering inside the perimeter. It's a feedback loop. Misery creates a miserable environment, which makes people more miserable.
So enforcing etiquette, politeness, participation, whimsy, it isn't just about good manners, it's operational security.
100%. Eichler isn't just annoying, they are a threat to the structural integrity of the carnival.
They're a saboteur.
They are polluting the fuel source, which explains the dress code.
The wings.
The butterfly wings.
Yeah.
Mandatory for all ticket holders. Even if you pay silver, you get a fake pair tacked onto you. If you work there, you might have real magical
Some
ones.
uniform.
It is, but it's more than that. It dissolves social barriers. It doesn't matter if you're a king or a peasant outside the gates. Inside, you are a butterfly.
It creates a visual unity.
It does. It says, we are all fey creatures tonight. It helps suspend disbelief, which boosts the mood, which powers the carnival. It is a perfectly designed social system.
So we have the machine. Now we need to look at the operators. The dossier introduces us to Mr. Witch and Mr. Light. And on the surface, they seem like your classic odd couple management team.
Oh, they are. You have Mr. Light, who is the front of house.
The showman.
Absolutely. Flamboyant, chaotic, wears a suit made of diamond-pane mirrors that just glitters everywhere. He loves the spotlight, and he carries the Witchlight vane.
The vane. It's a spinning scepter.
It is, but it's not a prop. It's the dashboard for the engine we were just talking about.
The mood meter.
Exactly. The vane spins clockwise when the mood is rising, and it spins counterclockwise when it's falling. Mr. Light is constantly checking it. He's the hype man, and his job is to make sure those metrics stay in the green.
And then there's Mr. Witch.
The back of house, the complete opposite. Pragmatic, businesslike, always checking his watch. Specifically, the Witchlight watch.
Which is a legendary artifact in its own right, from what I've read.
Oh, it is. It controls the passage of time within the carnival, because time is fluid in the Feywild, and it controls the physical logistics.
What, like packing up?
With a click of that watch, he can pack the entire carnival up into a pocket dimension or deploy it in minutes. So Light handles the emotion, which handles the physics.
But the deep dive here isn't just about their job descriptions, it's about their origin. Because the sources reveal a secret history that changes everything about how we view this place. They aren't local Fey lords, are they?
No, they are not. They are Shader Kai.
Okay, for the listener who might not be up on their planar taxonomy, let's define that. What is a Shader Kai?
Shader Kai are elves, but they're native to the Shadowfell. Now, the Shadowfell is the cosmic opposite of the Feywild. Where the Feywild is color, emotion, and life, the Shadowfell is monochrome, apathy, and decay. It's a world of gray. It's a plane of perpetual twilight and sorrow.
So Witch and Light are refugees from a world of gloom.
That's the perfect way to put it. This explains the swap that's mentioned in the dossier.
The swap. This is a great story.
It's a fantastic piece of lore. Years and years ago, Witch and Light, under different names, they ran a carnival in the Shadowfell. A grim, scary, sinister place.
And they crossed paths with an Eladrin elf named Isolde, who ran a joyous Fey carnival, the Witchlight Carnival.
And they basically got drunk together, compared notes, and realized they were both completely miserable in their respective environments.
So they just traded jobs.
In a moment of, drunken bravado, they agreed to swap. Isolde took the Grim Carnival to the Shadowfell, and Witch and Light took the Witchlight Carnival to the Feywild.
So they are running from their nature. They are creatures of darkness and gloom who are trying to curate joy.
And they are terrified. That's the key. They live in constant fear that if the mood drops too low, the carnival will revert to its Shadowfell nature, or worse, that they will be pulled back to the gloom.
They're imposters in paradise.
They've tasted the apricot sunsets, and they never, ever want to go back to the gray.
And that fear makes them vulnerable. Which brings us to the elephant in the room, the Hourglass Pact. The carnival is compromised.
This is the dark underbelly we hinted at. See, the carnival currently hails from Prismeer, which is a specific domain of the Feywild, but the rightful ruler, an archfey named Zybilna, has been overthrown. She's gone.
And in her place.
In her place is a trio of hags known as the Hourglass Coven.
Hags are, well, in folklore, they're malicious, deal-making fey witches. We're not talking about the good witch variety here.
Definitely not. These hags, Bevlorna, Skabatha, and Endlin, they have dirt on Witch and Light.
Of course they do.
They know about the swap. They know the owners aren't the original masters of this carnival, so they're blackmailing them.
It's a protection racket. Let us operate, or we expose you.
The deal is brutal. The owners must allow the Coven's thieves to roam the carnival and steal from guests, specifically guests who sneak in without tickets.
So Witch and Light are complicit. They're allowing kidnappings and theft to save their own skins.
It's a utilitarian nightmare. They are preserving the joy of the thousands by sacrificing the safety of the unlucky few.
That's a rough moral position.
It creates a tension where the owners are not the villains exactly, but they are certainly not the heroes. They are managed assets. They are middle management trying to keep the corporate overlords happy while keeping the customers from rioting.
Let's look at the floor plan then. The attractions. Because even the rides seem to reflect this duality of, whimsy and danger. You have something like the snail races.
High-octane whimsy. I love that description.
Giant snails. Shelly moo, whizzy, breakneck. It sounds like a joke.
It's designed to be funny, but the mechanics of it are serious. It's a participatory sport. The guests don't just bet, they ride. They get on these giant snails.
And because they are snails, I'm guessing speed isn't about physical prowess. You can't just whip a snail to make it go fast.
I mean, you could try, but it wouldn't do much. It's an animal handling challenge, really. You have to motivate the snail.
How do you motivate a snail?
You have to pat its shell, whisper encouraging words, maybe dangle a particularly tasty-looking fern in front of it. It's about coaxing, not commanding.
And sabotage is part of the game.
Of course. The sources mention spectators throwing lettuce on the track to distract the snails, or gear malfunction saddles slipping off mid-race. It's a microcosm of the chaotic nature of the Feywild.
So it's a lesson.
It teaches the guests that winning here requires adapting to chaos, not just overpowering it.
Then you have the mystery mine. This feels less funny. This is a psychological weapon disguised as a roller coaster.
It's a thrill ride, but the mechanism is intrusive. Before you get on the cart, you have to stare into this big, all-seeing eye wizard prop.
But the magic is real.
The magic is absolutely real. The ride scans your mind for your deepest, most specific fears.
So if I have a fear of failure, or spiders, or, I don't know, public speaking...
The ride manifests illusions of exactly that. You'll be on the coaster, and suddenly you're giving a presentation to a booing crowd of spiders. It's a test of will. You have to face the fear.
And what happens if you fail? If you scream or panic?
The ride beats you. And the consequence isn't just being scared for a minute.
No.
No. The dossier describes the penalty as nightmares. In practical terms, it's a form of magical exhaustion. You leave the ride physically drained and unable to rest effectively for days. The carnival literally feeds on your fear just as much as your joy.
It's a balanced diet for the Feywild.
You got it.
But I think the most tragic attraction has to be the carousel.
Ah, the unicorns.
And the operator, Diana Cloppington.
Diana's the perfect example of the collateral damage from the hags. At first glance, she appears to be a centaur.
Right, half human, half horse.
But the text reveals she was a human woman who made a bad deal. A very bad deal. She wanted to be reunited with her war horse that had gone missing. She went to a hag for help.
Rule number 1, never, ever ask a hag for a favor.
The hag granted the wish, literally. She fused Diana and her horse together into one being.
That's body horror masked as a fairy tale.
It is. And to make it worse, she's cursed. She knows the hags are pulling the strings. She wants to warn the guests. She wants to scream about what's really happening.
But she can't.
She physically can't speak about them. If she tries to say their names or even allude to them too directly, she starts coughing up tree sap or mushrooms begin to blister on her fingers.
That is such a visceral, horrible image. So she uses the ride as a communication tool.
Exactly. The riddle of the names. The wooden unicorns on the carousel are sentient, but their name tags are jumbled proverbs. Pride and fall, fortune and bold. They're mixed up.
So the guest has to fix them.
If the guest fixes the names, putting the right pairs together, the unicorns can speak. They are the information brokers. They give the clues that Diana cannot.
So the ride is a puzzle box designed to bypass a curse. That's brilliant design.
It's heartbreakingly clever.
But while the guests are solving puzzles and riding snails, there is an active insurgency happening.
Yes, there is.
We have a saboteur, Kettlesteam.
Kettlesteam is a Kenku warlock. Now, Kenku are bird folk. They look like ravens, but they have this ancient curse where they have no creativity of their own. They can only mimic sounds they have heard.
And Kettlesteam is running amok. She's stealing voices, causing accidents, panicking the dragonflies.
But, and this is a key point,
Mhm.
she's not working for the hags.
No, she's the chaos good element in all of this.
That's a good way to put it. Her patron is Zybilna, the missing archfey we mentioned earlier.
The one the hags overthrew.
The very same. Kettlesteam knows something is wrong because her patron has gone silent. So she is disrupting the carnival to force Witchlight's hand.
She's trying to tank the mood meter on purpose.
She wants to make them so miserable that they break their silence and reveal what happened to Zybilna. It's a desperate act of loyalty.
It's a temper tantrum with magical consequences, and in the process, she creates one of the main quests of the night.
The Candlefoot and Palasha situation.
The Mime and the Mermaid, a classic romance. Candlefoot wanted to propose to Palasha, who performs in the mermaid tank.
A beautiful moment planned for the big top extravaganza.
But Kettlesteam stole his voice.
Literally stole it. In the Feywild, abstract concepts like a voice or a shadow can be physical objects. Kettlesteam took his voice, so now he can't propose. He's mute.
And Palasha, the mermaid, she thinks he's getting cold feet.
Their despair, this tragic misunderstanding, is dragging down the mood meter for that whole section of the carnival.
So fixing their relationship isn't just a nice thing for you to do. It's strategic. You need their joy to power the machine.
Precisely. You solve the romance, you spike the mood meter, you stabilize the carnival, everything is connected.
But we have to talk about the real threat, the thieves, the agents of the Hourglass Coven. These aren't pranksters like Kettlesteam. These are predators.
No. These are entities designed to hunt. There are 3 of them, one corresponding to each of the 3 hags.
Let's profile them, because they are genuinely creepy.
Let's start with the least weird one, if you can call it that, the Lornling. It belongs to Bavlorna.
What is it?
It's a miniature toad-like version of the hag herself. It's fast, very slippery, and it lurks in the shadows. Its job is to steal physical objects, trinkets, keys, wands, things of value.
Okay, so a magical pickpocket. Then Gleam's shadow.
This one is tragic and terrifying. It's the severed shadow of an elf acrobat named Gleam. The hag Endelin literally cut it off of her.
So it's a living shadow.
It moves independently, and its attack drains vitality. It saps the strength right out of its victims and makes them weaker.
And then Sowpig.
Sowpig is the stuff of nightmares. I mean, truly. She works for Skabatha. She is a ghoul.
An undead creature.
Yes. But she appears as a small, gray-skinned little girl wearing a pig mask and holding a giant, oversized rainbow swirl lollipop.
That image. The juxtaposition of the childish lollipop and the undead skin and the creepy mask.
It's intended to unsettle. It creates this profound cognitive dissonance. She targets the no-ticket violators. But she doesn't just kick them out. She uses an ability called Sticky Fingers.
But she's not stealing wallets.
No, she steals abstract things.
Like what?
Memories, your sense of direction, your ability to keep a secret. The dossier even mentions someone losing their handwriting.
How do you steal handwriting?
In the Feywild, you just can. And this is the hook. This is the genius of the campaign setup. Because if Sowpig steals your favorite childhood memory, you can't just file a police report. You can't buy a new one at the store.
You have to go get it back.
You have to go get it back. It forces the narrative transition. To retrieve your lost thing, you must leave the relative safety of the carnival and enter Prismere, the hag's domain. The theft is the call to adventure.
Let's map out the timeline. Because the carnival isn't a sandbox that stays static. It's a ticking clock. It's an 8-hour event.
Right. It forces pacing. Hour 1 is welcome gifts.
This sounds nice.
It is. It's false security. Northwind the Treenet hands out seeds. A little squirrel companion named Red distributes them. Everyone is happy. The mood is high. It's a peaceful start.
But by hour 4, things heat up. The big top extravaganza.
This is the pivot point of the whole night. Mr. Light takes the stage. It's the main event with acrobats and magic and grand spectacle. But mechanically, this is the heist window.
Explain the heist.
Well, during the show, Mr. Light is completely distracted on stage. He's performing. Mr. Witch is usually watching from the wings, focused on light.
So they're both occupied.
And Burley, he's the bugbear head of security. He creates an opening.
Burley is on the inside. I thought he worked for them.
Burley is a pacifist bugbear who knows the owners are compromised by the hags. He wants to fix it, but he can't disobey orders directly. So he might subtly suggest to a capable-looking group of guests that if someone were to borrow Mr. Witch's watch...
The Witchlight watch, the device that controls the carnival's time and space.
Exactly. If you steal the watch, you hold the entire carnival hostage. The show cannot go on. The carnival is stuck. It can't pack up. It can't leave.
You force a negotiation.
You force a negotiation. Tell us the truth about the portal. Tell us about the hags, or we don't give the watch back. It's the leverage the visitors need to break the stalemate.
And assuming that succeeds, or the night just plays out normally, we reach hour 8. The crowning.
The Witchlight monarch.
This feels like the gamification of the mood meter.
That's exactly what it is. The carnival's own magic identifies the single guest who generated the most joy, the MVP of the night, and crowns them.
Is this just a cosmetic title, like being named prom king?
No. It has real mechanical weight. Being the monarch grants you a charm of flight, which is useful, but more importantly, it grants you a title. And in the Feywild, titles are power.
What does the title do?
Being the Witchlight monarch grants you a degree of diplomatic immunity, or at least causes hesitation from certain fake creatures you might encounter later. It's a shield you take with you into the danger zone.
Which leads us to the finale. Crossing the threshold. The Hall of Illusions.
The House of Mirrors. Whether it's through negotiation after the heist, or by impressing the owners by becoming the monarch, Witch and Light finally reveal the truth.
The truth about Prismeer.
That Prismeer is frozen in time, split among the 3 hags, and that the only way in is through the mirrors. And they teach you the rhyme to activate the glass.
Hither, thither, here and there, wander yonder, show me where.
And as you say it, your reflection in one of the mirrors just disappears.
Yeah.
You aren't looking at yourself anymore. You are looking at a swirling gray mist.
And you step through.
You step through the glass, the calliope music cuts out instantly as the smell of popcorn is replaced by the damp, rotting smell of a swamp.
You are in Hither, the first domain of the hags.
The tutorial is over. The safe zone is gone. You are now in enemy territory.
When you look at it all laid out like this, the carnival serves a fascinating narrative function. It's a safe zone that teaches you all the rules of the dangerous world you're about to enter.
It absolutely does. It teaches you that emotions have physical power. It teaches you that deals are binding and dangerous.
And it teaches you that even in a world of absolute whimsy, there are predators in pig masks hiding in the shadows.
It's a lesson in the fragility of joy.
The fragility of joy. I like that.
That's the key takeaway for me. The carnival is this beautiful, joyful place, but it is built on a foundation of blackmail and moral compromise. The owners, Witch and Light, they chose to tolerate a little bit of evil to keep the lights on.
They compromised.
They compromised. And usually, the people engaging with this story, the visitors, the listeners, they reject that compromise. They decide that the system needs to be broken to be fixed. They won't accept the hourglass pact.
Which is why they step through the mirror. They go to confront the source of the rot.
They have to. The carnival shows them that something is deeply wrong, and it gives them the motivation to fix it.
Well, I'm certainly going to double-check the terms and conditions the next time I buy a carnival ticket, and I'm definitely staying away from anyone wearing a pig mask.
Solid advice for any dimension, I think.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Witchlight Carnival. Watch your step, check your pockets for any missing memories, and we'll see you next time. Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are wading into something that, I'll be honest, I had this visceral reaction to just from reading the notes. You know that feeling when your socks get wet inside your boots and you just know they aren't going to dry for like 12 hours?
That specific squelching misery, yes.
Exactly, that sensation, but applied to an entire dimension of reality. We're looking at a stack of documents today about a place called Hither. And it's just the name itself, Hither, it sounds almost inviting, a little archaic. Come hither.
It implies proximity, doesn't it?
Intimacy.
Intimacy, even. But in this case, the name is a bit of a cosmic joke.
How so?
Hither is one of the splinter realms of the Feywild, specifically a domain called Prismeer. And while Hither suggests here, or, the present, it interprets that concept in probably the most horrifying way possible.
Right. Because when we talk about living in the present, we usually mean mindfulness, yoga, breathing exercises, that kind of thing.
We mean letting go of anxiety about the future and maybe regret about the past. But Hither asks a different question.
Which is?
What happens if you strip away the past and the future entirely? What if the present is all there is? It doesn't look like Zen enlightenment. It looks like a swamp.
A rotting, stagnation-filled swamp.
Precisely. It's where the whimsy of the Feywild, the singing mushrooms and the dancing lights, it's where all that stuff curdles. This place of decay where things fall apart, but they never quite disappear. They just linger.
Okay, we have a lot to get through. We're going to break down the geography, which sounds like it's actively hostile.
It is.
The social rules, which are basically weaponized politeness, and the inhabitants, who range from tragic victims to frog people playing dress-up. But I want to start with the atmosphere. The source material paints a very specific picture of the light here.
It's crucial to visualize this. The text calls it a twilit realm. But you shouldn't think of a romantic sunset.
No.
No. Think of that moment just after the sun goes down, where all the colors just drain out of the world and everything goes flat and gray.
Okay.
There are no hard shadows in Hither, because there's no direct light source.
Which has to mess with your depth perception.
Truly, everything is just a haze of greens, browns, and grays. The sun never rises, it never sets. It just hangs in that oppressive gloom.
It creates a sense of timelessness.
It does, which fits the theme perfectly. You can't tell if it's morning or night, you're just there.
And then there's the water, or I guess the behavior of the water, because this isn't a normal wetland where the tide comes in and out on a schedule.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
The hydrology of Hither is, for lack of a better word, artificial. It's all controlled by these massive ancient structures called wells.
Wells.
Think of them as giant stone pimples on the face of the swamp.
Gross, but effective imagery, I get it.
Well, they're basically hydraulic pumps.
Mm.
But they aren't automated on any kind of schedule. They're completely sporadic.
So what does that mean for someone walking around?
It means 1 minute you're walking across a mud flat that's relatively solid. Then an well miles away just activates, belching out millions of gallons of water. And within minutes, the water level around you rises 5 feet.
That's terrifying. You could be setting up camp, you could be sleeping, and suddenly you're drowning in muck.
Or the opposite could happen. The well activates in reverse, sucking the water table down. You might be boating across a lake, and then suddenly the water just vanishes, leaving you stranded in sucking mud, surrounded by these skeletal mangrove roots that look like grasping fingers.
Wow. It creates a landscape of total instability. You can't build a road. You can't even build a solid foundation for a house.
It forces a nomadic existence, or at least a very precarious one. You can't plan for the future. I mean, physically speaking, because the ground literally shifts beneath your feet. It just reinforces that theme. You have to deal with the now, because the now is actively trying to kill you.
And if you try to leave, if you just say, you know what, I'm done with the wet socks, I'm walking out of here.
You hit the mist borders? Prismeer is partitioned, you see. Hither is walled off by this thick, magical fog.
And you can't just walk through it.
If you walk into it, you don't come out the other side. You just get turned around. The landscape plays tricks on you. You could walk for hours and just end up exactly where you started.
It's a prison without bars, just endless humidity.
Claustrophobia in an open space. That's the feeling they're going for.
Now, this is the part of the lore that really unsettled me, the domain transformation. We know the Feywild reacts to emotion, right? It's a psychoreactive plane. But in Hither, it feels petty.
It's incredibly petty. And that's because in a healthy Fey domain, the environment reflects the majesty of his archfey ruler. Here, because the ruler is a Hag Bavlorna Blightstraw, the reactivity is all warped and corrupted.
Give us an example.
Okay, so normally if you're happy, maybe some flowers might bloom around you. In Hither, if a goblin is feeling miserable, the local flora doesn't just wilt, it rots. It turns into this black slime right before your eyes.
And if you're scared, what happens then?
If you're scared, the trees might sprout thorns. The wind could start sounding like a mocking laugh. Or, and this is noted specifically in the text, you might smell something distinct.
Like what?
Old cheese. Sulfur. The scent of a predator nearby, even if there isn't one.
So your internal anxiety isn't private, it's broadcast to the world, and the world uses it to make you even more anxious.
It's a negative feedback loop. You get scared, the swamp gets scarier, which makes you more scared. It takes an incredibly strong will to maintain your composure here. You have to essentially gaslight yourself into being happy just to keep the path from turning into a bramble patch.
And this extends to death, too, because the notes mention some really bizarre effects when a creature dies in Prismeer.
It does. It seems the original architect of this realm, an archfey named Vibilna, had a flair for the dramatic or maybe a desire to, I don't know, sanitize mortality. When you die here, you don't just decompose normally.
I read about the bubbles. That was weird.
Yes. The body might get encased in this translucent, opalescent bubble. It just floats there, preserving the corpse perfectly. It's beautiful in a way, but also horrific. It turns the dead into macabre decorations.
Or they turn to stone.
Instantly. Or they decompose with unnatural speed flesh to clean bone in 60 seconds. It's as if the realm is saying, we don't have time for the process of death. Be a statue, be a bubble, or be gone.
Okay, so the environment hates you. The water's trying to drown you. The trees are mocking your insecurities. But there are people here. There is some kind of society. And where there's society, there have to be rules.
The rules of conduct. And this is essential Feywild lore. Even in a rotting swamp, manners matter. In fact, here, manners are a form of magic.
There are 3 main rules listed: hospitality, ownership, and reciprocity. On the surface, these sound like the Boy Scout code. Be nice to guests, don't steal.
But you have to look at how they're applied. Take the rule of hospitality. You are expected to be gracious to guests.
Sounds great. I'd love a cup of tea. Seems reasonable.
But here's the catch. If you break that rule, if you're rude to your host, or if the host harms the guest, there are magical repercussions. But more importantly, the ruling class, the hags, they twist this.
How?
If a hag invites you in, she is technically following the rule. She offers you food.
But the food is what? Mud.
Rotting grubs or mud, yes.
Yeah.
And if you refuse, if you say, no, thank you, you've just insulted her hospitality. You've broken the social contract. Now she is magically free to punish you.
It's a trap.
It's always a trap. Then you have the rule of ownership. Thou shalt not steal.
Which seems hard to enforce in a swamp full of bandits.
It is. But the hags view themselves as the owners of everything. To Bavlorna, you walking through her swamp is technically trespassing on her property. You breathing her air is, in a sense, theft. She can twist that rule to justify taking anything she wants from you.
Okay. And the last one, reciprocity.
A gift for a gift. If someone gives you something, you are magically bound to return a gift of equal value.
So if a stranger just walks up and hands me a flower.
You are now in debt. And if you don't have a gift of equal value handy, well, maybe they'll take your name, or your sense of direction, or a memory.
And that is the most terrifying part of this whole economy. The currency isn't gold. It's abstract concepts.
Gold exists, but it's boring to them. The Fae craves novelty and emotion. This brings us directly to the Singing Brigands.
Right. So you arrive in Hizr, and the notes say you literally fall out of the sky.
In a balloon crash, yes.
Onto a broken highway called the Queen's Way. And the first thing you encounter isn't some swamp monster, but a marching band of rabbits.
Herringons, rabbit folk. But yes, the imagery is just striking. They're dressed in mismatched armor, carrying clubs, and they march to a rhythm. They sing these little songs about beating people up.
We'll thump you and bump you or something like that. It's very Alice in Wonderland meets A Clockwork Orange.
That is a perfect description. It's ultra-violence masked as a nursery rhyme. And their leader in this specific encounter, a Herringon named Jebek, perfectly illustrates the rule of reciprocity being weaponized.
She doesn't ask for your money.
No. She points a weapon at you and says, I want a feeling of delight.
How do you hand that over?
She has a memory gourd. It's a magical vessel. If you agree to the trade, her not beating you to a pulp in exchange for the memory, you touch the gourd. And the memory of, say, the best gift you ever received is gone.
Gone as in you just forget it.
Siphoned out, stored in the gourd. You don't just forget the details, you lose the feeling. That warmth, that love associated with the memory, it's hers now. She consumes it like a drug.
That's so much worse than robbery. If you steal my watch, I can buy a new watch. But if you steal the memory of my grandmother giving me that locket for my birthday, you've stolen a piece of my foundation, a piece of who I am.
Exactly. And in Hither, where the whole theme is the rotting present, robbing people of their past is the ultimate weapon. If you take away a person's happy memories, they have no refuge. They are forced to live entirely in the miserable now.
The leader of these brigands is a guy named Agden Longscarf. And I have to say, he sounds like the coolest guy in the worst place on earth.
Agden is a fascinating study in charisma and bravado. He calls himself the Prince of Prismeer. He's a Herringon, but he's distinct. He wears this bright electric blue scarf that trails behind him.
And the lore says the scarf is made of lightning.
That's the legend he tells. He claims he wrestled a dark cloud and stole its lightning.
Is that true?
In the Feywild, the line between a tall tale and the literal truth is very, very blurry. Whether he physically wrestled a cloud or just performed some powerful ritual, The effect is real. The scarf gives him supernatural speed.
Like he's just really fast.
He moves so fast, he's essentially teleporting. He leaves after images. He can be in front of you 1 second and behind you the next.
So he's the Flash, but a rabbit.
A rabbit with a branding iron.
Yeah, let's talk about the brand, because that took a dark turn in the notes.
It's his signature. When he robs you, or rather collects his toll, he brands your clothes or sometimes your skin. But the brand is magical. It's invisible to normal people.
So I wouldn't know if you were branded.
You wouldn't. But he can see it. And his brigands can see it. It marks you as paid. It's a protection racket, really. But it's also claim of ownership. By branding you, he is saying, this traveler belongs to Agden. It's a perversion of the rule of ownership.
And he's essentially untouchable because of his speed.
He was, for a long time. The lore reveals he was actually punished by the rightful ruler, Zybilna, years ago. She pinned him to a tree with a magical nail.
Just pinned him there, to a tree.
Like a butterfly in a display case. He was stuck there for ages, unable to move, unable to die. Just left as a warning to others.
That is incredibly dark.
It is. And guess who freed him?
It has to be Bavlorna.
Bavlorna, the hag. She pulled the nail, but in exchange he had to serve her. So this prince of thieves, this great rebel, is actually just another servant. He's a dog on a very long leash. He pretends to be free, but he's owned by the hag just like everyone else in this realm.
Speaking of people owned by the hag, or at least ruined by her, we need to talk about the victims. Hither is populated by people who are, for lack of a better word, broken.
Broken is accurate. Oh, perhaps incomplete. Let's start with Sir Talavar.
The fairy dragon.
Right. Now, fairy dragons are usually tricksters, pranksters. But Talavar is a knight. He serves the Summer Queen. He has a title. He has a code of honor. He's this tiny purple butterfly-winged dragon who speaks of chivalry and duty.
And he's stuck in a birdcage.
At the top of a tower that is slowly falling over. They call it the Slanty Tower. His balloon crashed. His pilot is dead. And now Talavar is trapped. He represents the outside world, the world of laws, honor, heroism, and he's totally impotent in the face of Hither's rot. He can't get out. He needs adventurers to save him.
He's the damsel in distress, essentially.
But a damsel who demands you follow protocol and address him by his proper title. He's a tragic figure because he refuses to let the swamp break his spirit, even though he's physically helpless.
Unlike Jingle Jangle.
Oh, Jingle Jangle. This is the story that really...
Yeah, that hurts.
She's a goblin living on top of a sentient hill called Tellamy Hill. First, the hill itself. Tellamy Hill is covered in awakened willow trees. The hill can talk. It can move its roots and branches. It's her protector. But Jingle Jangle herself, she's a hoarder.
She collects keys.
Thousands of them. Iron keys, gold keys, little brass keys, skeleton keys. She wears them in her hair, woven into her clothes. The clinking sound precedes her everywhere she goes. Jingle Jangle.
But it's not just a hobby. It's more than that.
No, it's the result of a deal. She used to be a normal goblin, but she had a phobia, a crippling fear of locked doors, the idea of being trapped. So she went to Bavlorna for help.
And asked for a cure.
And Bavlorna gave her one. She removed the fear. But in the Feywild, you don't just remove something, you have to replace it. Bavlorna replaced the fear of locked doors with an obsession with keys.
So she exchanged a phobia for a compulsion.
A crippling one. But the cost was higher than that. She lost her sense of self. Listen to how she speaks. It's in the notes. She refers to herself exclusively in the third person. Jingle Jangle is sad. Twinkle Jangle needs this key. She can't say I.
That's profoundly lonely. It's like she's narrating a life she isn't actually living anymore.
Exactly. She has been hollowed out. She is a shell filled with the noise of keys. And the hill, Tellamy, knows this. The hill acts as her guardian. If you are kind to her, the notes say if you give her a truffle, which she loves, the hill remains calm.
Yeah.
But if you threaten this fragile, broken goblin, the trees attack. The land itself rises up to defend the girl who can't defend herself.
It's a beautiful, sad, symbiotic relationship. And then we have Clapperclaw.
The scarecrow.
Now, usually scarecrows in this kind of lore are terrifying constructs, right? Animated horrors.
Usually. But Clapperclaw is, well, he's a runaway. He was built by a different hag, Granny Nightshade, specifically to terrorize children. But something went wrong in his creation. He developed a conscience. He didn't want to be a monster, so he fled and ended up in Hither.
But he ran into Agden Longscarf.
And Agden, being the bully that he is, stole Clapperclaw's head. His head. It was a stag skull. A magnificent, scary stag skull that was part of his whole frightening persona. Now, Clapperclaw has to wear a gourd, a melon. And he is deeply, deeply insecure about it.
He's ashamed of his face.
He is. He's a guide who is afraid to be seen. He's the only one who knows the safe way to the next realm, thither. But he's paralyzed by this theft. He feels he isn't real without his proper head.
It's a recurring theme here. Talavar lost his freedom, Jingle Jangle lost her eye, Clapperclaw lost his head. Everyone is missing a fundamental piece of themselves.
Yeah, and because they are missing these pieces, they are stuck. They can't move forward. They are trapped in hither, trapped in the present.
Which brings us to the only real civilization in the realm, a place called Downfall.
Civilization is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence.
I figured.
Downfall is a shantytown built on stilts around the central Owell, and it is populated by the bullywugs, the frog folk.
I need you to paint the picture of this place, because it's not just a bunch of mud huts.
No, it's mud huts attempting to be Versailles. The bullywugs here call themselves the Soggy Court. They have found old, discarded costumes, faded velvet doublets, lace collars that are turning green with mold, powdered wigs that are infested with mites, and they wear them with absolute deadly seriousness.
So you have these giant wet frogs squelching around in rotting finery, acting like they're dukes and duchesses.
It's a cargo cult of aristocracy. They mimic the forms of nobility, the bowing, the titles, the courtly language, but they understand none of the substance. They speak in these high-flown, flowery sentences, but half the time they're just croaking.
Your Royal Highness, the fly soup is simply exquisite this evening.
Exactly that. But underneath all the comedy, it is brutally violent. The politics of Downfall are terrifyingly unstable.
Let's talk about the king, Gullop the 19th.
Gullop 19th. That number alone implies a very high turnover rate for the monarchy. Gullop is a monocle's frog who is currently sitting on the throne. But he's the nervous wreck.
Why?
Because he knows exactly how he got the job. He boiled his predecessor in oil. It's basically tradition. The sovereignty of the bullywugs is based purely on who can successfully kill the king. So Gullop spends his entire reign just watching his back, waiting for the inevitable knife or pot of boiling oil.
He has a book, doesn't he? Something he carries around.
The Book of Bad Blood. This is his prized possession. But it's actually Bavlorna's book. It's her personal record of perceived slights and insults. Gullop clutches it because he thinks it gives him authority, but he's also secretly terrified that his name is going to appear in it.
He's a puppet who thinks he's a player.
He's not even a puppet. He's a pet.
Yeah.
Bavlorna tolerates the bullywugs because they're useful idiots. They guard her cottage, they bring her food, but she has zero respect for them.
And proving Gullop's paranoia right, there's another bullywug, Illig.
Illig, the Baron of Muckstump. The ambitious underling, he is actively and openly plotting a coup.
And his grand plan is?
It's straight out of a slapstick comedy.
Yeah.
He plans to invite the king to inspect something, accidentally trip, and stab him.
Whoops, I fell and my sword just happened to go into your heart. My apologies.
And the craziest part, the Bullywug Society accepts this. If he pulls it off, they won't arrest him, they'll crown him. Oh, clumsy Illig killed the king. Long live King Illig. It highlights the total lack of moral structure. Power is just violence wearing a funny hat.
It creates this atmosphere where life is incredibly cheap. You can be executed for stepping on the wrong lily pad.
Or for boring the king. Or for amusing the king too much. It's all arbitrary. It's the rotting present. Again, no laws, no tradition that matters, just the immediate impulse of the strongest frog in the room.
There's some other strange residents in Downfall, too. The notes mention Darklings.
Yes, a business run by three sisters, Trinket, Bauble, and Charm. They operate a little shop.
But the shop is inside a balloon. That can't be right.
It is. It's inside a tethered storm cloud balloon. You have to climb a ladder up into a literal rain cloud to buy things from them.
And what are they selling? What do you buy in a cloud?
They sell magical oddities, a wooden drift globe, strange potions. But they don't want gold. They are Fey merchants. They want trades.
The notes mention the color of your eyes.
Imagine that transaction. I'll give you this magic sword, but I want the blue from your irises. And you walk out with dull gray eyes. Or maybe they want the bounce in your step. You leave the shop walking with a shuffle, feeling heavy, while the Darkling starts skipping around the shop.
It's existential bartering. You're trading away pieces of your humanity for tools.
And that is the ultimate critique of the adventurer mindset, isn't it? I need the +1 sword to win. Okay, but are you willing to become a little less human to get it? In Hiva, the answer is usually yes.
Looming over all of this, over the frogs, the balloons, the mud, is the cottage, the home of the ruler herself, Bavlorna Blightstraw.
Slack-jawed Lorna.
Even her nickname sounds lazy.
She is the embodiment of the sin of sloth. But not sleeping all day sloth. It's a deeper, more spiritual sloth, a profound negligence.
Describe her. What does she look like?
She is massive, toad-like. Her skin is warty and gray, and her jaw unhinges, hanging slack on her chest, which is where the nickname comes from. She's constantly eating, constantly complaining, but never actually doing anything to fix her problems.
She lives on stilts in the middle of the lake.
In a cottage that is a nightmare of clutter. She is a hoarder, but worse than Jingle Jangle. She doesn't hoard keys, she hoards bodies.
The taxidermy.
Chimeric taxidermy.
Yeah.
This is her art form. She takes parts of different animals and stitches them together. A frog with bird wings, a rat with a lobster claw. Her cottage is filled with these monstrosities.
But why? What's the point?
Think about what taxidermy is. It's taking a living thing and freezing it in a specific moment forever. It never ages. It never moves. It's the ultimate form of control. Bavlorna wants a world that is static. She wants to be surrounded by things that don't make demands of her.
She wants the present to be frozen.
Exactly. She hates her sisters, the other hags of the coven, because they are annoying and have plans. She hates the bullywugs because they are noisy. She just wants to sit in her own filth and exist undisturbed.
But there's one resident in her cottage who just breaks my heart. Octavian.
Octavian Meliamne, the wood elf bard. If you want to understand the true horror of Hither, you have to understand Octavian's story.
He's a guest. A prisoner.
He's a victim. He came to Bavlorna years ago. He was heartbroken. He had lost his loves, his friends. He was in so much emotional pain that he just wanted it to stop. He wanted to forget the feeling of heartbreak.
He wanted to numb the pain. A lot of people can relate to that.
And Bavlorna said, I can do that for you. She reached into his chest and physically removed his heart.
Oh my God.
She replaced it with a goat's heart.
A goat's heart. Why?
So now he is alive.
Yeah.
He functions, but he feels nothing. He has the mannerisms of a goat. He's skittish, but emotionally he is a complete void. He can't feel the pain anymore, true, but he can't feel joy. He can't feel love. He can't feel the music he plays.
And his real heart. What happened to his actual heart?
This is the kicker. This is the detail that shows you exactly who Bavlorna is. She keeps a still-beating elf heart in her icebox.
To keep it fresh. For some ritual.
No, to keep the meat cold. She uses the magical warmth of his living heart as a thermal regulator for her frozen sausages.
That's the most utilitarian evil I've ever heard. It's not a grand, dramatic ritual. It's just using a soul as a battery for her freezer.
It reduces the most sacred thing, a person's heart, the seat of their emotion, to a kitchen appliance. That is Hither in a nutshell. Everything is a tool. Everything is disposable. Octavian just stands there playing his flute for her, dead inside, while his own heart chills her lunch.
It's such a profound warning. Be careful what you wish for. He wanted to stop feeling pain, and he got it. But the price was his humanity.
He is the ultimate example of the stagnant present. He cannot grow. He cannot heal. He just exists.
Before we wrap up, we have to mention a few of the environmental hazards that make just traveling around this place a nightmare. We talked about the water, but let's talk about the air. The marsh gas.
Ah, yes. The swamp burps. Bubbles rise to the surface of the water and pop, and they smell like rancid cheese.
And if you breathe it in.
It's not just a poison, it's babble gas. If you fail to resist its effects, you start speaking absolute gibberish.
Like actual nonsense words.
Yes. Your ability to communicate is just stripped away. Imagine trying to coordinate a rescue plan or negotiate with a hag, and suddenly you're shouting flibber flabberzog at the top of your lungs.
It's humiliating.
That's the point. It strips you of your dignity. Other gases might give you uncontrollable hiccups for hours or cause warts to erupt instantly all over your face. It's body horror mixed with slapstick comedy.
And amidst all this horror, is there anywhere safe? Is there a Motel 6 in the swamp?
There is. It's called the Inn at the End of the Road. But good luck finding it.
Because it moves.
It walks. It has these massive fleshy legs tucked underneath the foundation. When the water rises or when the owner, a woman named Sue Harabax, gets annoyed with the locals, the entire inn just stands up and walks away.
Fleshy legs is a phrase I never wanted to associate with a building.
It's very disturbing to watch, I imagine. But inside, it's the only stable ground. Sue Harabax is a glum, serious woman who misses the old ruler, Zybilna. She runs a tight ship. No violence, no nonsense. It's a sanctuary. But the sanctuary itself is constantly running away.
So even safety is fleeting.
You have to chase it.
Finally, there's the stream of visions. This is a weird magical phenomenon noted in the sources.
It is. Occasionally, if you look into the water of a stream, you don't see your own reflection. You see a live feed.
A live feed of what?
Of something else happening in Prismeer right now. You might see a bullywug falling off a bridge. You might see Bavlorna picking her teeth. You might see the headless scarecrow, Clapperclaw, trying on a cabbage for a new head.
So it's like a surveillance state, but with no rhyme or reason?
But it's a chaotic one. It reinforces that present theme. There is no prophecy in the water. No vision of the future. Just look at this other miserable thing that is happening right now. It connects you to the ambient suffering of the realm.
So let's bring this all home. We have a realm of mud, lost memories, paranoia, and a hag who treats people like appliances. What is the takeaway here? Why does this place exist in the narrative?
Hither is a dark mirror. It takes the advice live in the moment and shows you the toxic, rotting underbelly of what that can mean. Because if you only live in the moment, if you have no respect for the past, like Jingle Jangle losing her identity or Octavian erasing his memory, you become hollow. You have no foundation to build on.
And if you have no regard for the future, like the bullywugs who don't build anything lasting, or Bavlorna who just lets everything around her rot, you create a wasteland.
Exactly. Civilization, growth, happiness, these things require a relationship with time. You need to remember where you came from to know who you are, and you need to care about where you're going to build something better. Hither cuts off both ends. It traps you in the stagnant middle.
It's stagnation. It's the rot that happens when water stops flowing.
And that's the mission for any adventurer, or really any person stuck in a place like this, literal or metaphorical. You have to be the current. You have to force things to move. You have to demand a future, even when the mud is trying to pull you down.
That is a powerful thought. You know, I think I'm going to go home and write down a few happy memories, just in case a rabbit with a gourd shows up.
And maybe check the locks on your doors. Just for Jingle Jangle.
We'll leave it there. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. Keep your boots dry, everyone.
And watch out for the frogs.
See you next time.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive.
Hey there.
Today we're opening a door that I think most people would probably tell you to just keep shut.
Oh, absolutely. But where's the fun in that?
Exactly. So we're stepping out of the mists of Hither, and we're going into the second major domain of Prismere. We are entering Thither.
Thither. It even sounds soft, doesn't it? Like a whisper.
It does.
And that's the trap right there.
It really is. We've got a huge amount of source material for this one. Maps, logs, encounter nodes. And our whole mission today is to walk you through this, not just as, a place on a map,
right,
but as a whole narrative.
Yeah.
We're not just reading a list of locations. We're trying to chronicle what is, I think, a pretty desperate journey.
And it's a journey through a forest that really, really wants to consume you.
But not with teeth.
No, not in the way you'd expect. It wants to consume you with sweetness.
Yeah. It's a completely different vibe from the last domain we talked about.
Totally. I mean, if Hither was all about that physical struggle, the mud and the grime and the misery, Thither is psychological.
It's all in your head.
It's the domain of the past. It's about childhood, but a childhood that's gone sour. It's curdled.
The phrase used in the outline is the rot in the sweetness, which I think is just perfect.
It's perfect.
So let's start right there. The sources are so vivid about the moment the party arrives. The mist from Hither finally parts. And what do they see?
It sounds amazing at first. I mean, you see this primeval forest, these huge ancient trees, sunlight streaming down.
Motes of pollen dancing in the air. You hear bird song.
Yeah.
It feels like, the part of the story where things are finally looking up.
But then you take a deep breath, and the smell isn't just like flowers, it's the smell of overripe fruit.
Ugh, that cloying smell.
Yeah, it's heavy. It sticks in the back of your throat. And then you look at the shadows on the ground.
They're too long.
They're just a little bit too long, a little too dark for how bright the sun is. It's immediately unsettling.
And we really have to remember the state the party is in at this point. They are not fresh. They're not rested.
Oh, they have been through it. They just dragged themselves through a whole swamp.
They're tired. Their resources are low. Their patience is probably even lower. And they walk into this place that feels manipulatively beautiful.
That's a great way to put it. It's like the geography itself is gaslighting you.
Right. The forest is whispering everything is fine, you're safe here, but every single one of your instincts is just screaming at you to run.
And those instincts get proven right almost immediately.
The first major event, the first omen, as it's called, they encounter blink dogs.
Now, usually you see blink dogs in the notes and you think, okay, combat encounter.
Yeah, a quick fight, they teleport around, it's a nuisance.
But that's not what this is, not at all.
It's a funeral.
A funeral.
That is chilling.
The party comes into this clearing and they see a pack of these blink dogs, and the source text is very clear. They're gathered around a fresh, crudely dug hole in the ground.
And there's another dog inside?
One of their, yeah. And this is where you have to translate the raw information into the actual experience.
Right. It's not a stat block.
No. It's noticing that shallow grave. It's hearing this low, mournful howl that's not aggressive. It's just sad. You realize these aren't just monsters. They're grieving.
And that howl is more than just grief. It's a warning, isn't it?
It's absolutely a warning. The dogs are burying one of their own, a scout that was killed by the ruler of this place.
Granny Nightshade.
Granny Nightshade, also known as Skabatha, a name we're going to be hearing a lot.
So if the party handles this right, if they approach with respect and don't just, pull out their swords.
The dogs will actually speak to them, and what they say basically sets the stage for this entire leg of the journey.
They warn them about two things in particular.
They talk about a goblin market where the food is, not what it seems, and they talk about the screaming scarecrows.
Screaming scarecrows. That phrase alone just paints such a picture.
It tells you everything you need to know, right? This land is being watched. You're not an explorer here. You're a trespasser.
The forest has eyes. And apparently lungs.
And lungs, yeah. The dogs basically establish that there's this, authoritarian regime in place. The second you step foot in thither, you're on Granny Nightshade's radar.
So with this really heavy warning fresh in their minds, the party has to push on. They need information, they need a safe place, and they follow a path to a cave that's glowing with torchlight.
This is Nib's cave.
And this encounter it's one of the strangest, most tragic things I've read in a while.
It's a fascinating little character study. You see this cave, and there's a tree outside with a wanted poster nailed to it.
Another sign of the surveillance state.
Exactly. Well, you go inside the cave, and it's like a dragon's hoard.
Gold everywhere.
The source says 27,213 gold pieces, to be exact.
You actually noted the number.
I did. It's just piled up. And in the middle of all this wealth is this miserable old man, Nib.
And he's blindfolded, sitting at a spinning wheel.
But he's not spinning wool or thread. He's reaching into these piles of gold coins, grabbing handfuls, and spinning them into golden fibers.
Okay, so if you're just a typical adventurer, you walk in, you see this, and your eyes just turn into dollar signs.
You think you've hit the jackpot.
But then you look at Nib himself, and he is wretched. He's shaking, he's wizened, he's just the picture of misery.
He tells them his story. In his mortal life, he was a miser, a slumlord.
He'd buy up condemned buildings and rent them out to desperate people for ridiculous prices.
Just a horrible person. And at the end of his life, he felt guilty and wanted to make amends, so he tracked down Granny Nightshade and made a deal.
Rule number 1, never, ever, ever make a deal with a hag.
Ever. She twisted his words, of course.
Yeah.
Cursed him. Now he has to sit here for eternity, spinning his ill-gotten wealth into gifts for other people.
So the gold isn't a treasure, it's his prison, it's his cage.
It's literally his penance. And the blindfold.
Why get
He
blindfolded?
wears it because he can't stand to look at his own money.
Why?
Because of the hauntings. And this is where things get really spooky. The sources say that as Nib is talking, anyone who's particularly observant starts to see things.
Flickering images in the torchlight behind him.
Yeah, a gaunt-looking coachman. A woman who's weeping silently. A dirty little kid peering over his shoulder.
The ghosts of his tenants. The people he exploited.
They're there with him, poking him, whispering things only he can hear. The air in the cave gets cold. It's not just a cave full of gold, it's a room full of guilt.
And then Nib makes them an offer. A transaction. He says, please, let me make something for you.
He can spin the gold into these incredible magical items.
Yeah.
A cloak that protects you, a bag that holds anything.
But this is the test, isn't it? The cost of greed.
It is. If you accept the gift, that's one thing. But if you get greedy, if you try to just take the gold,
If you give in to the exact same temptation that damned Nib in the first place.
the consequences are immediate and they are brutal. You're not just attacked, you're cursed.
The text says those same ghosts, those apparitions, they start following you.
And the penalty isn't damage, it's exhaustion.
Let's really break down what that means narratively. This isn't just, I feel a bit sleepy.
No, this is a soul-deep weariness. Your limbs feel like they're made of lead. Every step is a struggle. You start seeing faces in the shadows. You are literally carrying the weight of this man's sins on your shoulders.
It's a perfect example of how the environment itself fights you. It doesn't attack your body, it attacks your will, your ability to even keep going.
A brilliant piece of design.
But Nib, for all his misery, isn't just a trap. He wants the party to leave, so he gives them their first real lead.
He gives them a breadcrumb. He tells them there's a resistance.
He mentions a name, Will of the Feywild.
A boy, he says, who's been causing all sorts of trouble for Granny Nightshade. And he points them in the direction of a place called Little Oak.
So the party leaves this cave of golden misery behind and heads for Little Oak. And the entire atmosphere it flips completely.
Oh, yeah. We go from this dark, grim, haunted cave to what sounds like a children's playground.
Little Oak is a treant, a giant, living, walking oak tree.
And there's a treehouse built in its branches. You get closer, you can actually hear kids laughing. You see swings hanging from the branches.
This is the headquarters of the Getaway Gang.
It's basically the resistance movement of thither. And it's run by a bunch of kids who managed to escape from the Hag's workshop, Loomlurch.
And their leader is this Will of the Feywild.
Right. And when you first meet him, he seems like this scrappy, charismatic 11-year-old kid. He's got this whole Peter Pan, leader of the Lost Boys thing going on.
He apparently shouts, "Stand down or face merry hell," when they approach.
I love that. But we need to look closer at Will because the sources tell us there's a secret there. Something the party might not figure out right away.
Something the narrative just hints at.
Will is not a human boy.
He's an Oni.
He is an Oni, which, just for clarity's sake.
An Oni is a type of giant.
Yeah.
An ogre mage, a boogeyman that traditionally eats children.
Correct. His real name is Mugen, and he actually used to work for the Hags. He was their kidnapper.
But what changed?
The Hags are petty. They fight with each other. And as a punishment, Skabatha's sisters cursed Mugen. They cursed him with a conscience.
They fundamentally changed his alignment, his very nature.
Oh, that is just a spectacular form of psychological torture, isn't it? Take a monster and force it to feel empathy for its victims.
It creates this unbelievable tension. Because Will is trying so hard to be a good guy, but the monster's still in there.
Yeah. The source notes say he's too strong. When he shakes your hand, his grip is like a vice. He jumps way too high for a normal kid. He's a monster in a child's body, desperately trying to be a hero because a curse is forcing him to.
And the party just has to trust him. Because he's the only one with a plan.
He is. But before we get to the plan, we have to talk about Squirt.
Squirt the oil can.
I love Squirt. He's this tiny little construct, basically an animated oil can that waddles around.
But he's tragically empty.
He's completely empty.
Yeah.
He says he needs boggle oil to work properly.
Boggle oil.
Which is oil that's secreted by creatures called boggles, which are basically monsters made of pure misery.
So even the cute comic relief is dark.
It's a moment of levity, sure. But he's also this perfect symbol for the whole domain. He's a machine that literally needs to be lubricated with sadness to function.
That is, wow. Okay, so Will gathers the party in the treehouse. He introduces Squirt, the other kids, and he lays out the mission.
The target is Loomlurch.
The mission is a heist, a jailbreak.
Exactly. There are still children trapped in Granny Nightshade's workshop, and Will is determined to get them out.
And the stakes are obviously incredibly high.
Very. He warns them about patrols of tin soldiers, about the screaming scarecrows we heard about, and about the dragon.
A dragon named Cradlefall.
Right. And Will's plan is, well, it's a plan an 11-year-old would come up with.
It's a little sketchy.
It's basically, okay, you guys cause a big distraction at the front, I'll sneak in the back, and we'll meet up somewhere in the middle. Good luck.
It's pure chaos. But he does give them one really important piece of intelligence for the next step of their journey. He tells them they need a disguise.
Yes. It's time to talk about the unicorn costume.
I genuinely could not believe this part when I was reading the notes.
It's so good.
Please explain this.
Okay, so the next location they need to get to is called Wayward Pool, and it's protected by this powerful illusion, a glamour. You literally cannot find it unless you are a unicorn. The magic just turns you around, sends you in circles.
So the kids, in their desperation and ingenuity,
they made a unicorn costume. It's stitched together from old quilts, and it's got like a wooden horse head with a stick for a horn.
And they want the hardened adventurers to put this on.
2 of them, yeah. A classic 2-person horse costume, one in the front, one in the back.
You have to imagine the seasoned warrior of the group, covered in scars, having to get into the back half of a polka dot unicorn costume.
It's completely absurd, but it's a perfect illustration of how this place, the Feywild, operates. It's not about what's real, it's about belief and symbolism. If you act like a unicorn, if you present yourself as a unicorn, the magic of the lake accepts you.
So the party takes this ridiculous costume, or maybe they just fashion their own horns, who knows, and they head for Wayward Pool.
They need to find Lamorna, the unicorn who's supposed to be the guardian of this part of the forest.
And this is where the mood shifts again. We're moving into what the outline calls the fallen sacred place.
Wayward Pool is not a happy place. It's misty, it's quiet. It's just sad.
So the party, presumably feeling very silly, puts on the costume. They wade into the mist.
And the magic works. The glamour lets them through. They reach this little rocky island in the middle of the lake.
And she's there,
Lamorna.
sitting perfectly still. The source describes her as having this single gleaming horn, but she's all alone.
And the conversation they have with her is heavy. She's not a quest giver. She's a widow.
Essentially, yes. She tells the party her mate, a unicorn named Eladon, has been taken, stolen by the hags.
And she thinks she knows why.
She believes his horn was used as the final component in the spell that froze the ruler of Prismere, the Archfey Zybilna, in time. This is a huge piece of the puzzle. It's a massive lore drop.
Right. We suddenly learn that this entire realm is in a state of suspended animation because the hags staged a coup. They overthrew the rightful ruler and used the power of a captured unicorn to do it.
Lamorna is clearly majestic, but she's also broken. She's terrified. She's just hiding out here.
And right as the party is processing all of this tragedy, the sheer scale of what they're up against,
The genre just completely changes.
just snaps in half.
Dark attacks.
No warning, no monologue. The source text is just a cloaked figure leaps out of the trees, daggers flash.
This is Zarak. He's an assassin from the League of Malevolence.
We've heard whispers about the League, but this is them making a direct move. And Zarak is a professional. He couldn't care less about Fey etiquette or sad unicorns.
His goal is to kill Lamorna and take her horn.
The description of him is just chilling. He has this wide, toothy grin under his cowl, and he goes for it.
Yeah.
If the party's reflexes aren't perfect, they're caught completely flat-footed.
It's just this sudden, brutal burst of violence in what was a very serene, sad moment.
And Lamorna, understandably, panics. She teleports away instantly. She's gone.
She just abandons them.
Well, she's traumatized. She's not a fighter. She's a survivor hiding from the people who took her mate.
So now the party is stuck on this tiny island with a very angry, very lethal assassin who just missed his primary target.
And Zarak is smart. He knows he's lost the element of surprise. He's not going to take on a whole group of adventurers by himself, so he either retreats or he tries to bargain.
And if he bargains, he gives them even more information.
Yeah, he might confirm that the Palace of Heart's Desire is frozen. He might mention his boss, a sorcerer named Kellic.
But the big immediate consequence of this is you're marked now. The League is hunting you.
Exactly. The woods aren't just dangerous because of fey creatures and the hag. Now there's this rival group of professional killers, basically an evil version of the party, after the same things you are.
So with that adrenaline still pumping, they know they can't just hang around. They have to move. They have to go to Loomlurch.
Time to execute the heist.
Let's set the scene for Loomlurch. It's a fortress, but it's a tree.
It's a colossal dead oak tree that's fallen on its side, but new, living trees have grown out of its corpse, and Skabatha has shaped them into watchtowers and rooms. It's this incredible, organic, decaying fortress.
And right out front is the Goblin Market.
This is the infiltration part. The party has to approach, trying to look like they belong, and the smells hit them again.
Sugar.
And blood.
The Goblin Market is just a masterclass in creepy atmosphere. Goblins are hawking their wares, but the wares are all nightmare fuel disguised as candy.
Like what?
Beetles preserved in amber-like hard candy, lollipops that are just made of thousands of compacted ants.
And the goblin in charge is a character named Chucklehead.
Oh, Chucklehead.
Even
This
like-
character he's a tragedy. He has a toffee apple for a head.
Wait, a literal candy apple.
Literally. Fey magic has transformed his head into a candy apple on a stick. But the real horror, the detail that gets you, is that he's constantly muttering to himself.
And if you get close enough to listen, he's talking to the maggot that's living inside his apple head.
Oh my God.
There's a giant maggot eating his brain. That's why he's so erratic and strange. He's slowly, painfully dying while being forced to sell candy.
But he's still hospitable. He'll offer to lead you right to Granny Nightshade.
It's one of the rules of the domain. You have to observe the rites of hospitality. Even the monsters have to be polite, at least at first.
So the party has to navigate this market. Maybe someone is dumb enough to actually eat the candy.
And if they do, the effects are just wild. The sources list things like your skin turns blue, you start foaming at the mouth, you float 6 inches off the ground for an hour. It's just pure, chaotic, fey magic messing with your body.
So, assuming they get past the market, they start to skirt the edge of the property.
Yeah.
And that's where they see them.
The screaming scarecrows.
Imagine you're trying to be stealthy. You're moving from shadow to shadow, holding your breath.
And you see these scarecrows on posts. They look totally inanimate. But if you get within 50 feet...
Does 50 feet.
They don't attack you. They just scream.
A scream that alerts everyone in Loom Lurch.
It creates this incredible zone of tension. You can't go near them. You have to find the path through the negative space between their perception ranges.
Okay, let's say they do it. They manage to sneak past. They find a door in the roots of the tree and slip inside.
Welcome to the workshop, Area L4.
Also known as the Workshop of Nightmares.
The first thing you notice is the sound. There are bells, chimes, the sound of gears. But the workers are the children. The kids Will sent them to rescue.
Nail, Sung, Philomena, and they're making toys.
But not fun toys.
No, they're making stuffed lions with real needles for teeth, dolls with expressions of pure terror, miniature guillotines. Skabatha is literally manufacturing childhood trauma.
And overseeing them, lurking in the shadows, are the boggles.
These are the creatures that secrete the oil Squirt needs.
Right. But here, they're not sad little things. They're the enforcers. They're oily, nasty pests that feed on the misery in the room. If a child slows down and starts crying, a boggle will appear and torment them.
So the party has this dilemma. Do they fight? Do they try to sneak the kids out?
If you start a fight here, you've got a problem. Because the tin soldiers are in the very next room.
And these aren't just individual soldiers.
No, they operate as a squad. There's even one with a drum. And as long as that drum is beating, the other soldiers are harder to defeat. They're more coordinated.
So rule of thumb, take out the drummer first.
Always take out the support class, even if he's a toy soldier.
Okay, they push deeper into the tree. They find the kitchen, area L13.
And the first thing that hits you is the heat. It is sweltering. And curled up on a rug by the huge oven is the dragon they were warned about.
Cradlefall.
He's a green dragon wormling, so he's about the size of a large dog. But the description is really important. He's not some majestic beast. He's a spoiled pet. He's lazy, overfed, and mostly just sleeps.
And the oven itself is more dangerous than the dragon.
Much more dangerous. There's a fire elemental trapped inside the clay oven. It's raging, beating against the walls if the party is careless and breaks that oven.
The elemental gets out and just starts burning the whole tree down.
It's a chaos bomb waiting to go off.
And in the corner of the kitchen, there's another prisoner. Not a child this time.
It's Alcorn, a dwarf fighter. He's from that other adventuring party, Valor's Call.
Finding him could be a real game changer.
It could. He's a trained warrior. But he's been broken down. He's battered, bruised, forced to wear an apron and peel potatoes. If you free him, he's ready for a fight.
But there's a problem.
He's loud. And he's angry, he wants his axe, he wants revenge. He's a huge liability in a stealth mission.
Just point me at the hag, let me at her.
Exactly. He brings a lot of chaotic energy that you might not be able to control.
So at this point, stealth is probably out the window. The party knows where the hag is. They head for the parlor, area L3.
The confrontation.
The door creaks open. And inside, it's a cozy little tea room built into a hollowed-out tree root. And she's there.
Skabatha Nightshade. Granny.
And she looks like a sweet old woman if that woman was carved from rotting wood and had mushrooms growing on her. But there's one detail that just freezes you.
The key.
The huge brass wind-up key sticking out of her back.
And it's turning. Tick, tick, tick.
This is such a brilliant mechanic. The source says the speed of the key shows her mood.
If she's happy or amused, it spins quickly. If she starts to get angry, it slows down.
I can just picture that scene, the party trying to negotiate. Granny, please, we just want to take the children home, and you're not looking at her eyes, you're just watching that key.
Tick, tick, tick.
It stops.
And when the key stops, all hell breaks loose.
Skabatha is a monster in a fight, but she's also a trickster. She doesn't fight fair.
Not at all. The two cozy armchairs in the room.
They're mimics.
Of course they are. They reach out and grapple whoever is closest. The rug on the floor might try to smother someone. The whole room is a death trap.
But the party is ready. Maybe Elkhorn the dwarf just charges a mimic. Maybe the wizard unleashes a powerful spell. They hurt her. Skabatha realizes she's in real trouble.
So she does what hags do best. She runs. She retreats to the next room, area L6. She's going for her escape vehicle.
The flying rocking horse?
It sounds so silly, a giant wooden rocking horse, but this is the real climax of the entire chapter.
Because the party, if they were paying attention back at the lake, if they really listen to Lamorna, they'll notice something about this rocking horse.
There's a small circular depression right on its forehead, a slot.
And if they manage to find the unicorn horn, maybe it's in a chest, maybe they got it from one of the kids, they know exactly what it's for.
The narrative just demands this moment. One of the party members has to make a run for it, dodging Skabatha's claws, and jam that horn into the head of the wooden horse.
And what happens?
The curse shatters, the wood splinters and cracks, the cheap paint dissolves into dust, and bursting out of the rocking horse is Eladon, the real unicorn.
That image. A living, breathing unicorn exploding out of a child's toy.
It's just a wave of pure, blinding light in this horrible, dark place. Eladon rears up. Skabatha is thrown to the ground. The entire fight just turns on a dime.
And with a unicorn on their side, the battle is basically over. Skabatha has to know she's lost.
She flees. She has ways to escape, to plane shift, or she just melts into the woods to find her sisters. Hags are survivors. She's not going to die here unless the party gets incredibly lucky.
But she's gone. The immediate threat is neutralized. Loom Lurch has fallen.
And that brings us to the outro. The escape and the cost.
The party runs back through the workshop. They're smashing locks, shouting, "Let's go, kids, you're free!"
And the children just pour out of the tree. Will and the getaway gang are outside waiting for them. It's this huge, joyous reunion.
And Eladon, does he find Lamorna?
Presumably, yeah. He gallops off toward Wayward Pool to find her. For the first time, it feels like the natural balance of the forest is starting to be restored.
But there is always a but on this show.
The party is standing there in the clearing. The kids are safe, the unicorns are reunited, but they have to look at the cost. They have now declared open war on the Hourglass Coven.
Skabatha is still out there, and she is going to be furious.
Vindictive. And her sisters now know who the party is.
And what about the other threat? The League of Malevolence.
Still out there. Zarak is almost certainly reporting back to his boss. The party has gone from being, lost travelers to being enemy number one for two separate, very powerful factions.
The sweetness of thither is gone. They've crushed the illusion, and now all they can see is the rot underneath.
And the only path left leads deeper into the mists, towards the next dominion, towards the future.
So it's a victory, but it's a heavy one. They saved the day, but they've made their own future so much darker.
That's the way it goes in a journey like this. You survive today, but you carry the scars and the consequences into tomorrow.
So what's the final thought we should leave our listeners with? What's the big takeaway from Thither?
I think it's about the danger of nostalgia. Thither is like a weaponized version of the good old days. It tempts you to act like a child, to eat the candy, to play with the toys, to live in the past.
But if you do that,
you become a prisoner of it, just like Nib, forced to spin his gold forever. To actually move forward, you have to be willing to grow up. Sometimes you have to break the toy to free the unicorn.
Real growth means shattering the illusions you're comfortable with.
Exactly that.
Well, that is a lot to chew on. Just
No.
maybe don't chew on any of the goblin candy.
Yeah, please don't do that.
We'll see you all when we step into the next domain. Thanks for listening.
Safe travels. The atmosphere, it just changes the moment you leave the twisted forests of Thither. And it's not gradual at all.
No.
It's violent. You step out of the mist and bam, the air pressure just drops, your ears pop, and the sky turns this bruised, violent purple.
Mm-hmm.
We're leaving the past behind us. We are done with the present. We are climbing straight into the future. But in the realm of Prismeer, the future isn't something you look forward to.
No, it's something you fear.
Yeah.
You're in the realm of Yon, and you're absolutely right. The transition is jarring. If Hither was, a swamp of regrets, and Thither was a forest of childhood whimsy, Yon is a gothic opera.
Right.
And it's stage managed by a complete narcissist. It represents the future, but a very specific, fatalistic future. It's a land where the mountains just pierce the sky, lightning is harvested like wheat, and the only way to survive is to understand that you are basically a character in a tragedy.
A tragedy where the ending has supposedly already been written for you. So today, we are unpacking the final third of the Wild Beyond the Witchlight adventure. We're going to dissect the geography of these storm-racked peaks. We'll analyze the politics between the Fey races living in the shadow of the mountain. And we're going to do a deep psychological profile on Endlin Moongrave.
A creeping limb. The dame of unhappy endings.
I have to say, looking at the source material, she feels so distinct from her sisters. Babylona was sort of passive. She just wanted to sit in her pool.
Yeah.
Skabatha was industrious, making her little toys. But Endelyn, she feels active. She feels malicious in a way the others just didn't.
I think it's because of her relationship with information. Endelyn is an oracle. She's the third hag of the Hourglass Coven, and her whole domain is the future.
Right.
But, unlike a traditional seer who might give you a cryptic warning to help you change your path.
Right, to give you a chance.
Exactly. Endelyn believes the script is locked. She foresees tragedy, and she believes her role, her job, is to ensure that tragedy plays out exactly as she saw it.
Wow.
She isn't just watching the movie. She's the director yelling action and making sure the actors hit their marks for the sad ending.
That is a terrifying concept for a D&D villain. I mean, usually the villain has a plan you can disrupt. I'm going to summon demon and you stop the ritual.
Sure.
But Endelyn's threat is existential. She looks at you, the players, and says, I know how you die, and I'm just here to facilitate it.
Precisely. And that philosophy just bleeds into the environment itself. Her fortress, Motherhorn, isn't just a castle. It's a theater. It's literally an amphitheater carved into the highest peak of Yon, where she forces people to perform plays that reenact their own miseries.
She turns suffering into entertainment.
Literally.
Okay, let's talk about that environment first, because the geography of Yon seems specifically designed to make players uncomfortable. It's not just a mountain, it's a stormy vertical nightmare.
Verticality is the key word there, 100%. The map of Yon is just a series of these jagged pinnacles connected by rickety bridges and these tiny, narrow paths.
So one wrong step.
One slip, and you fall into the silvery mist below, which, might spit you out somewhere random or it might just kill you. And the weather is psychoreactive.
What does that mean?
It means the storms in Yon are tied to Endelyn's mood. When she's brooding, the clouds are heavy and oppressive. When she's angry, lightning cracks across the sky.
And those lightning rods we see in the artwork, these huge copper spires topped with sun and moon symbols, they aren't for protection, are they?
No, not at all. They're distinctly industrial. And this is a detail I absolutely love. She is harvesting the lightning.
Of course she is.
The storms, which, remember, she partially controls, strike these rods, and all that energy is funneled down into the bowels of the mountain to power her machines. It's a closed loop of misery.
Her bad mood creates the storm.
The storm powers the machine.
And the machine creates the props for the tragedies that keep her in power. It's efficient, I'll give her that. But let's say I'm a player. I've just arrived. The wind is howling. I'm soaking wet. I need a guide. In hither, we had a balloon pilot. And thither we had a lot of weirdos. Who helps us navigate Yon? Because the source material here throws a curveball that I honestly struggled to process at first.
You are definitely referring to Amador and Gleam. And I agree. On paper, this looks like a joke.
It does.
But in play, it's one of the most interesting dynamic duos in the entire module.
It's a dandelion. A 3-foot-tall, walking, talking dandelion.
Amador the Dandelion. Yes, that's him.
I mean, how do you even run that at a table without the horror of the setting instantly deflating? We're in a gothic nightmare realm and suddenly a flower with a little sword jumps out.
But that's the friction of the Feywild, though, right? The whimsy highlights the horror. Amador isn't some cartoon character. He's a romantic hero trapped in a plant's body. He has a rapier. He has stats. He's not defenseless. He's essentially a swashbuckler. He talks like he's in a bodice ripper novel. Fear not, fair travelers.
Yeah.
That sort of vibe.
Okay. And his motivation?
Love, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
He is deeply, madly in love with Pollinella.
Who is a bee?
A honeybee. A non-speaking, regular-sized honeybee.
So the flower is in love with the pollinator. It's a symbiotic relationship taken to its most romantic extreme.
Correct. And he treats her like a queen. He's protecting her from a Cyclops beekeeper named Mudlump. But before we even get to the Cyclops, we have to look at his partner, Gleam. Because while Amador provides the levity, Gleam provides the actual plot hook.
Gleam is the elf acrobat, right?
Yeah.
The one wearing the crescent moon mask.
Yes, she's a high elf, formerly of the Witchlight Carnival, and she introduces a very specific mechanical curse that is prevalent throughout Yon. She is shadowless.
Explain that mechanic, because losing your shadow sounds like flavor text, but in D&D, usually everything has a stat penalty attached to it.
It does. Endelyn used a pair of magic scissors to literally snip Gleam's shadow right off. In the game, a creature without a shadow is considered cursed. Depending on how the dungeon master runs it, and the book suggests this, you have disadvantage on stealth checks, because you don't blend into the darkness properly. You just stand out.
Uh-huh.
But socially, it's much worse. In Prismere, if you don't have a shadow, people just assume you're a villain or like a construct. It's a serious social stigma.
And she's looking for her sister.
Her twin sister, Glister, the Sun Twin. They are the Selenilian twins, Sun and Moon. Andalin has imprisoned Glister deep inside Motherhorn, so Gleam is desperate. She's incomplete. She's an acrobat who has lost her balance, metaphorically speaking.
So you have a dandelion knight protecting his bee girlfriend, and a shadowless acrobat trying to rob a fortress. And the first thing standing in their way is Mudlump the Cyclops.
Mudlump is such a great encounter because it can go two very, very different ways. He's a Cyclops, so he hits like an absolute truck. If the players just see a monster and attack, it's a tough fight.
And he's got a special weapon, right?
He has a beehive on a stick that he uses as a club, which is both terrifying and hilarious because it adds poison damage from all the angry bees.
A beehive on a stick. That is some practical weapon design.
It's very effective. But Mudlump isn't evil. He's just a beekeeper who wants his queen back so he can make the best mead in the mountains. Amador frames this as a kidnapping of his beloved. Mudlump sees it as livestock retrieval.
The sources mention you can resolve this socially, and this is where I get a little skeptical. It says you can teach the Cyclops about love. That sounds, well, it sounds like a bad after-school special. Does that actually work at a table?
It depends entirely on the role play. It's not just, rolling a persuasion check. The players have to actually explain the concept of romantic love to a creature that only understands hunger and work.
Right.
But if they succeed, it's actually a really profound moment. Mudlump has this epiphany. He realizes he's lonely. He doesn't want the bee anymore. He wants what the dandelion has.
So he just leaves.
He packs up his stuff and heads to the Palace of Heart's Desire to find a girlfriend. It turns a standard combat encounter into this weirdly wholesome redemption arc. And that's really the deep dive takeaway for Jan. Violence is rarely the most interesting solution. You can fight the Cyclops, but redeeming him is a much better story.
Okay, so we get past the Cyclops. We have our guides. We start climbing the mountain, and we walk straight into a geopolitical conflict. Because apparently, even in a magical dream world, there are labor disputes.
The feud of the mountain. Yeah, this is basically the background radiation of Jan.
Yeah.
You have two Fey races, the Chorids and the Briganox.
Yeah.
And they absolutely hate each other.
Let's profile them. Who are the Chorids?
Chorids are these small, hairy, earth elemental Fey. Imagine a dwarf mixed with a goat, but made of stone and hair. They are rowdy, they love drinking, they love dancing. They hang out at a place called Lockberry Henge.
And the hair is their main mechanic, isn't it?
Yes. Cord hair is magical. It's stronger than iron when it's cut. In combat, they can animate their own hair to grapple players or restrain them. But socially, they use it for everything. Ropes, bridges, you name it. They are loud, boisterous, and deeply connected to the stone.
And they're angry because...
Noise. They can hear mining happening deep inside the mountain. To a cord, who can feel the tremors of the earth, the constant tink, tink, tink of pickaxes is like someone screaming in their ear 24/7.
They blame the Briganox.
They blame the Briganox.
So who are the Briganox?
Total opposites. Briganox are tiny, mouse-sized. They are timid, anxious little workaholics. They live inside the Briganox mind. And their visual hook is fantastic. Their souls are heavier than their bodies.
What does that even mean?
It means when they sleep, their soul tries to depart to go do more work. So they have to physically pin themselves to the ground with tiny stakes and ropes like Gulliver and Gulliver's Travels so they don't float away or wander off while they're dreaming.
That is such a pitiable image, just these terrified little guys staking themselves to the floor every night.
It is. And they are absolutely terrified of the Chorids. They think the Chorids are monsters who want to eat them. They hear the Chorids dancing above them, the constant stomping, and they think it's an invasion force preparing to attack.
So the Chorids hate the noise from the mining, and the Briganox are afraid of the stomping from the dancing. It's a classic misunderstanding.
A weaponized misunderstanding. Endlin Moongrave is playing both sides against the middle. She has kidnapped the chief Briganox architect, a guy named Golmo, and is holding him hostage. She tells the Briganox, keep mining or your leader dies. Then she sends her minions to steal Chorid hair to build her machines, but she frames the Briganox for it.
Classic divide and conquer. If they ever stop fighting each other, they might look up and see the real enemy.
Precisely. And the players are dropped right in the middle of this. They need help from both sides to reach Motherhorn effectively, so they have to play diplomat.
Now, you mentioned they're mining something, and this is the part of the notes that really caught my attention. Wish stones.
Yes, this is one of the coolest lore additions in this entire module. I love this.
Explain the metaphysics here, because usually a wish in D&D is a 9th level spell. It's the ultimate magic.
Right. But in the Feywild, magic is emotion and intent made manifest. The concept here is that when mortals on the material plane, people like you and me or people on Toril make a wish, that energy echoes. I wish I was rich. I wish he loved me. I wish my enemy would just die. That raw intent travels to the Feywild, and it crystallizes in the Rock of Yon.
So the mine is literally full of solidified human desire.
Exactly. And the Briganox mine it. If the wish was pure or benign, the stone glows gold or silver. It's warm to the touch. These can be cut into beautiful gems. But if the wish was malignant, a wish for harm or revenge or cruelty, the stone glows a sickly purple and it hisses.
What happens if a player picks up a purple one? What are the mechanics there?
It's dangerous. The book suggests that just handling a malignant wish stone can inflict a curse or psychic damage on you. It's like holding a lump of radioactive hate. But they are valuable. Endlin covets them because she uses them to power her orrery.
Of course.
She is literally fueling her foresight machine with the dashed hopes and dark desires of mortals.
That adds such a layer of tragedy to the whole industry. The Briganox aren't just mining coal, they're mining the heartbreak of the world.
And for the players, it presents a really interesting moral dilemma. Do you steal a wish stone? If you take a golden one, are you stealing someone's wish? Does that wish not come true now? The module leaves that ambiguous, which is perfect for a deep roleplay moment.
Leaving the mines, we have to talk about the wilderness encounters. Because the path up to Motherhorn is littered with what I can only describe as interactive sadness.
Interactive sadness is a good brand name for Yon, yeah.
Specifically, Fenia and the Kite. This feels like something straight out of a horror movie.
It is pure psychological horror. You're walking along and you find a goblin child, Fenia, just standing on a windy plateau. She's flying a kite. But the kite has this hideous, leering face painted on it. And the child is just weeping.
Why doesn't she just let it go?
She can't. Endlin cursed her. Fenia was caught stealing something, and Endlin said, fine, you can go, just fly this kite for me. The curse is that if Fenia lets go of the string, she ages rapidly. The mechanics are brutal. It's something like 10 years for every minute the kite is loose, or for every bow on the kite's tail.
So if she drops it for even a few seconds, she essentially dies of old age on the spot.
Yes. And the kite is semi-sentient. It tugs, it dives, it whispers to her on the wind, let go, let go. It's actively trying to kill her. The players have to intervene, but they can't just cut the string. They have to find a way to break the curse or take the burden from her.
It's just so cruel.
It shows Endelin's specific brand of cruelty. She targets children, and she targets time. She steals your future.
Then there's the pageant wagon, this driverless wagon that just pulls up and puts on a show for you.
This is basically a surveillance tool. The wagon opens up, and these little marionettes act out scenes from the player's recent past. It's Endelin showing them, I am watching you. I see everything you do.
That's unnerving.
But there's a temptation. If you watch the whole play, the wagon spits out a ticket. A literal ticket stamped with Endelin's seal that grants you a private audience.
Is it a trap?
Yes and no. It's a legitimate ticket. It lets you walk right through the front door of Motherhorn without fighting any of the guards. But it means you are walking right into her parlor on her terms. It's a choice between a stealthy infiltration or a diplomatic confrontation where you've already been announced as the guest of honor.
And finally, the most tragic figure out there in the wilds, Prince Aligarthus. This guy is stuck in a terrible loop.
Aligarthus is an elf prince from the material plane. He's a callback to classic dark fairy tales. He came to Endelin years and years ago to bargain for the safety of his kingdom, which was being terrorized by a dragon.
You want to know how to win.
Right. And Endelin, in her classic style, showed him two futures. In one, he defeats the dragon but dies in the process. In the other, he lives, but the dragon burns his kingdom to ash. He couldn't accept either outcome. He wanted a third option.
So he made a deal.
He wagered his time. He's been in Yon for, well, it's unclear how long, but likely decades, maybe even centuries, trying to find a way to cheat the prophecy.
And he's trying to light the fate beacons.
Yes,
Yeah.
These massive beacons on the highest peaks. He believes if he can light them all, it will open a portal home or summon help. but he's being constantly sabotaged by the Perytons.
Perytons are nasty, stag-headed birds. They rip people's hearts out.
Usually, yes.
Yeah.
But these Perytons are unique. They used to be a troupe of actors called the Greyhawk Mummers.
Who cares?
They were divas, just arrogant, selfish actors. Endelyn got tired of their egos, so she coosed them into these monstrous forms. But, and this is the key mechanic, they still have the souls of performers.
Meaning they still want applause.
Meaning you can defeat them by stroking their ego. If the players figure this out, they don't have to fight. They can perform, they can clap, they can even heckle them. If the Perytons feel like they are getting attention, or if they are upstaged, they might just back down. It's a combat encounter that can be solved with a performance check.
Which is the perfect warm-up for Motherhorn itself. Because eventually, the players reach the fortress. And this is where the module shifts genres entirely. It stops being a wilderness survival trek and becomes a high-stakes improv class.
It really, really does.
Yeah.
Motherhorn is the theater of terror. You walk in and you aren't immediately attacked. You're ushered into the main amphitheater. The master of ceremonies is a goblin named Stage Fright.
Great name.
Fantastic name. And he tells you the rules. The queen will see you, but only if you perform a tragedy for her.
I want to dig into the mechanics of this because put on a play can be terrifying for players, not just their characters. How does the book actually handle this?
It's structured surprisingly well. Stage Fright hands the players a script, but the script is full of holes. It's like a Mad Libs from hell. The players are assigned roles. The betrayed king, the weeping widow, that sort of thing. And they have to act out a scene.
Do they have to actually make up all the dialogue themselves?
They do. But there's a support mechanic. The book provides a table of tragic lines. Things like, the prophecy is sealed, or my heart is a cavern of spiders.
Oh, wow.
The players have to roll or pick these lines and then work them into the conversation as naturally as possible.
It sounds so awkward.
It's designed to be awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time, there is a mood track. The DM tracks Endelyn's interest. If the players deliver their lines with gusto, if they really sell the misery, the mood goes up. If they make jokes or break character, the mood goes down.
What happens if the mood hits 0?
Trapdoors open, combat starts. Or worse, the hook comes out to drag you off stage. But if they get the mood high enough, Endelyn herself descends from her balcony to applaud. That is the moment they can bargain with her. That's their audience.
But there's a risk during the play itself, right? The hecklers.
Oh, yeah. The audience is filled with dark fey goblins, darklings, you name it. They throw rotten fruit, they boo and hiss. The players have to maintain concentration on their performance while dodging cabbage and insults. It's a social combat encounter where taking damage is getting humiliated.
While the play is happening, though, the smarter parties are probably going to be splitting up. One group distracts the hag with all their Shakespearean angst, and the other group sneaks backstage.
Exactly. The heist begins. And backstage is a complete house of horrors. You have the prop workshop, the prison cells, and all the machinery.
Let's talk about that machinery first, the orrery of tragedies.
This is the heart of Endelyn's power. It's this massive spinning contraption of copper gears, lenses, and arcing lightning. It's loud. It fills the entire room with static electricity. Mechanics-wise, if a player touches it, they take a significant amount of lightning damage and risk short-term madness. It just overloads the brain with visions of terrible futures.
But this is where she keeps all her secrets.
Yes. She spends hours just staring into it, writing down everything she sees in her black books. These are just volumes and volumes of rhyming prophecies. And this is where the players can find the smoking gun.
The weakness of the coven.
Right. We learned Bavlorna's weakness back in Hither. We learned Skabatha's in Thither. Here, in Yon, the black books contain a prophecy about Skabatha. It reveals that Skabatha forgets the first thing she sees every time she wakes up.
Which is huge if you plan to go back and fight her. But what about Endelyn's own weakness?
That's the irony. She knows her own weakness. She has foreseen her own death. The orrery has shown her that she will die during an eclipse.
But Yon doesn't have a moon cycle. The sky is fixed.
Exactly. The sky is static. Endelyn believes she has cheesed the system. She thinks, oh, I die during an eclipse. Fine, I'll just move to a realm where eclipses are physically impossible. She feels immortal because she has removed the environmental condition required for her death.
Hubris. That is pure, uncut hubris.
It is. But before we get to how the players can exploit that, we need to talk about the people she has backstage. Specifically, Skyla.
Scala. Now, for the old-school D&D fans listening, that name definitely rings a bell.
It should. Skyla is a deep cut. She is a member of the League of Malevolence.
Walk us through the League quickly. Who are these guys?
The League of Malevolence creates a direct link to the 1980s D&D toy line and the Shady Dragon Inn supplement. You had Warduke, the guy with the blue helmet and the bat wings. You had Killick the sorcerer, and you had Skyla the warlock. They are these iconic evil party archetypes.
They are in this adventure.
They are the rival party. Killick and Warduke are working for the Coven elsewhere. But Skyla betrayed them.
Why? What happened?
Because she's a diviner warlock. She looked into the future, and she saw that the League would lose. She saw that Endlin would win. So, being a pragmatist, she flipped. She's now working for Endlin, wearing a costume, and acting under the name Charme.
So she's the Starscream of the group. She just joins whoever she thinks is winning at the moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But she's dangerous. She's a high-level caster. If the players find her in the workshop, they can fight her. Or, and this is a much better option, they can convince her that Endlin is going to lose. If they can persuade her that the tide is turning, she might just flip again.
Then there's the prison block. Who's down there?
Glister, the Sun Twin. And a lot of Endlin's rivals. And this is where we see the most disturbing machine in all of Motherhorn, the Mask Maker.
I read this part. It's straight up body horror.
It is. Endlin doesn't just kill people she finds boring. She straps them into this machine that strips away their identity and physically flattens their face into a wooden mask.
Wait, they become the mask.
They become the mask.
Yeah.
The mask retains a tiny fragment of their soul. It's horrifying. It completely raises the stakes for failure. You don't just die, you become a prop in her next play.
Okay, so we've infiltrated the place, we've found the weakness, the eclipse, but we're still in a land with no moon. How do the players trigger the climax? How do you force an eclipse to happen?
The module offers a few solutions, and they perfectly encapsulate the logic of the Feywild. Solution A is the literal interpretation. You reunite the twins.
Gleam and Glister.
Right. Gleam is the moon twin. Glister is the sun twin. Endlin separated them specifically to prevent them from ever touching. If you break Glister out of prison and bring her to Gleam, their embrace creates this magical radiance, a Selenelian, that counts as a symbolic eclipse.
The universe just accepts the metaphor.
The Feywild runs on narrative causality. If it looks like an eclipse and feels like an eclipse, then it is an eclipse. But solution B is even wilder.
Solution B.
The fake moon. In the prop room, there is a massive wooden moon hanging from a winch. And in the same room, there is a sun mask.
No way.
Yes. If the players operate the machinery to lower the giant wooden moon in front of a character who is wearing the sun mask, the prophecy triggers.
A wooden prop counts. A piece of stage dressing.
It counts. When the moon blots out the sun, creeping Lynn will come undone. It never said a real moon. It just said the moon.
Yeah.
If you stage the eclipse using her own props, her power fails.
That is just brilliant. She built this whole theater to control her fate, and her fate is ultimately sealed by a stage block from that very theater.
It shatters her entire worldview. The moment the eclipse happens, real or fake Endlin panics. Her foresight ability, her connection to the future, just shuts down. She is suddenly blind, and for a control freak like her, that is more terrifying than death itself.
Does she fight back?
She fights, and she's a high-level spellcaster. She casts spells that manipulate gravity and psychic energy, but she also immediately tries to run. She has an ornithopter, a mechanical pair of flapping wings stashed away on her balcony.
The getaway car.
A getaway bird, yeah. She tries to fly to the Palace of Heart's Desire. The players have to shoot her down or ground her. It's this chaotic, cinematic finale with lightning striking everywhere, the Urri exploding, and the hag just screaming as her entire narrative collapses around her.
It sounds like a fantastic session if you can pull off the pacing of it all.
It really is. It rewards players who engage with the weirdness of it. If you just try to hack and slash your way through Yon, it's a slog. You'll get knocked up bridges, you'll get cursed.
Yeah.
But if you play the part, if you act in the play, if you engage with the tragic themes, you get to rewrite the ending.
So we've covered the geography, the politics, and the villain. What's the synthesis here? Why is Yon so important to the overall campaign?
I think Yon is the ultimate lesson on agency. Endlin represents the idea that you have no choice, that you are just a puppet and your strings are being pulled. The player's entire job in Yon is to prove her wrong, to show that even in a world of prophecies and time loops and fixed futures, you can improvise.
It's the battle between script and improv.
Perfectly put. Endlin has the script, the players are the improvisers, and in D&D, the improvisers always win.
One final thought before we wrap up. I keep thinking about those wish stones. If you were a player in that mine and you saw a purple stone, a malignant wish, would you touch it?
That's a great question. It's tempting, isn't it? The power of a dark wish. Imagine the spell slot you could get out of it, or the damage you could do. But Knowing the Feywild, the cost is always, always higher than the payout. I think I'd leave it in the wall.
Probably wise. Let the Briganox handle it.
Let them handle it, for sure.
That brings us to the end of our climb through Yon. We have dismantled the Hourglass, Coven Bavlorna is gone, Skabatha is fled, Endlin is undone. The only thing left is the center of the storm.
The Palace of Heart's Desire, the home of Zybilna.
Next time we enter the palace, we find out who the Archfey really is, and we see if we can finally get our lost things back. Until then, watch your shadow.
And don't sign any scripts. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We are digging into a stack of notes today that honestly reads less like a geography lesson for a fantasy setting and more like a psychological autopsy of a god.
Or a wannabe god, at least.
Yeah, that's probably more accurate. We are looking at the Palace of Heart's Desire.
And it is a location that, it fundamentally defies physics, logic, and quite frankly, sanity.
It really does.
If you look at the primary sources we have here, this isn't just some dungeon crawl located in the Feywild. It is a physical manifestation of a broken mind.
A fractured mind, for sure.
Yeah. It's a place where the architecture itself is like screaming a secret that the owner desperately wants to hide.
That is exactly the angle I want to track today. Because on the surface, if you just, if you look at the postcard version of this place, we have this high fantasy setting.
Totally.
We're in Prismere. You have marble towers, you have clouds, you have that eternal twilight that makes everything look sort of romantic.
Dreamlike. The sources use that word a lot.
But the moment you zoom in, the whole thing is just wrong.
It's deeply unsettling.
You have this massive, coarse beanstalk physically ripping the architecture apart from the inside out. And you have this silence that the notes describe as, what, heavy? Oppressive, even.
That dissonance is the key. That's the key to understanding the entire site.
Right.
The palace is located in what's called a domain of delight, which is supposed to be this, whimsical, emotion-driven plane of existence.
Right. Useful thoughts and all that.
But the Palace of Heart's Desire is currently a crime scene frozen in amber. We call it the temporal stasis. But that term is almost too clinical for what is actually happening.
Yeah, it doesn't really capture the violence of it.
Not at all. The palace hasn't just been paused, it has been caught mid-scream.
Let's clarify that for everyone listening, because frozen in time can mean a lot of things in fiction. Sometimes it just means people move slowly, or it's a Matrix bullet time situation.
Right.
In this specific case, we aren't talking about a slow motion effect, are we?
No, we are not. Not even close. Based on the mechanics of the artifact involved, the Cauldron of Igwilf, which we will definitely get to, we are looking at a total cessation of temporal flow.
A hard stop.
A hard stop, but only for biological entities. If you are a person, a monster, or an animal inside that blast radius, you are effectively a statue. You're invulnerable to all damage, you cannot be moved by any force, and you are completely unaware of the passage of time.
So if I walk in there with a sledgehammer and, try to chip a piece off a frozen guard.
A hammer would just bounce off. It wouldn't even chip. They are fixed points in space-time. They have ceased to interact with physics as we know it.
Okay, that's bizarre.
However, and this is where the environment gets truly surreal, objects are different.
How so?
The notes mention that if you walk into the dining hall, the fire is frozen in the hearth. It looks like a sculpture of flame.
Which sounds beautiful.
It does, but if you touch it, it still burns you.
Whoa. So the energy is still there, but the motion is gone.
Precisely. The kinetic aspect is frozen, but the thermal properties remain. Inorganic matter maintains its properties but loses its motion. You can pick up an apple that was frozen mid-fall from a table.
Okay.
But the water is the most fascinating example to me. The sources note that because the surface tension and flow are arrested, if you scoop water out of a stream, it has the consistency of soft dough.
You're kidding. Like you can knead it.
You can literally hold it in your hands like a lump of clay.
That is such a bizarre sensory detail. It implies that fluidity itself is a function of time. If you take away time, water becomes a solid.
Well, a semi-solid.
Right. It's like the sources are trying to tell us that reality here is held together by a very thin thread.
It's dream logic applied to physics, 100%. And navigating this frozen disaster requires understanding the security system, which is where things get really, really revealing about the owner's psyche.
Oh, this is the part I love.
We need to talk about the crown locks.
This was the part of the documentation that made me stop and just think, okay, this person is deeply paranoid.
Or just loves puzzles.
Maybe both. You don't just have a key to the front door. You have a binary system involving two massive iron constructs, the lion and the heart.
Envy and wrath.
Right. And they aren't just decorative statues. They're sentient, or at least semi-sentient, and the notes say they hate each other.
They do. They despise each other. And that is not an accident. The architect of this palace, this archfey named Zybilna, she designed her security system around two emotions that are fundamentally at odds.
So envy and wrath. Let's break that down.
Well, envy is the desire to have what others possess. It's a covetous, brooding, internal thing.
And quiet.
Very quiet. Whereas wrath is explosive, outward aggression. It's the difference between simmering resentment and a punch to the face.
And the mechanics of the palace enforce this split.
Completely.
To open a door in the West Wing, the doors are all marked with a lion emblem. You had to place this one specific crown on the head of Envy, the lion statue.
Here's the catch.
Doing that locks the East Wing. All the doors marked with the heart just slam shut and become impassable.
It's a zero-sum game. You can never have total access to the palace. You are forced to choose between envy and wrath constantly. You have to physically run back and forth, swapping this crown from one head to the other.
Which is, I mean, from a practical standpoint, just incredibly inconvenient.
Terribly inconvenient, but it's brilliant security.
And let's not gloss over the crown itself. A crown made of silver needles. That sounds incredibly painful to handle.
It is. The sources say it deals damage to anyone who touches it without protection. It pierces the skin.
So what does that tell us about Zybilna, the creator?
It tells us she believes power requires sacrifice, or perhaps pain. But more importantly, think about the layout. She lives in a home where she has to ritually engage with her own worst vices just to get to her bedroom.
That's a great way to put it.
She has to crown envy to go to the library. She has to crown wrath to get to the ballroom. It's a constant, forced self-reflection.
It feels like a penance. Or maybe a reminder, like, this is who I am.
It's either a reminder or a cage. And it creates a tactical nightmare for intruders, certainly. If you are trying to sneak in, you are constantly backtracking, constantly leaving yourself exposed.
You can't just run from one end of the palace to the other.
No. You have to stop, go back to the main hall, switch the crown, and then proceed. But psychologically, it's almost like she's trying to manage her own personality flaws through architecture. She's saying, I can be envious today, or I can be wrathful, but I cannot be both.
Which is a fascinating way to live. And that leads us directly to the woman herself. Because Zybilna is the name on the lease, so to speak.
Right, the public-facing name.
The people of Prismeer, the common folk, they think of her as this benevolent fairy godmother, the avatar of mercy.
She has cultivated that image meticulously. We have records of the glass statue room.
Oh, tell us about that.
It's a grand ballroom, but instead of dancers, it's filled with these beautiful, life-sized glass statues of mortals.
Mortals she's helped.
Exactly. A peasant who needed food, a lover who needed a potion, a scholar who needed a lost book. It's a shrine to her own goodness.
It's a little narcissistic, isn't it? Look at all the good I've done. Look at how nice I am.
It is deeply narcissistic. A truly benevolent entity usually doesn't need a showroom for their charity. It feels like she's trying to convince herself as much as anyone else.
Yeah, and that's because...
Because the deep dive reveal, and the reason this location matters in the broader lore of the multiverse, is that Zybilna doesn't exist. Not really.
She is a mask.
A very elaborate, very expensive mask worn by one of the most infamous figures in history. She's Igwulf.
Also known as Tasha, depending on which world you're from.
Okay.
And for anyone listening who just thinks, oh, Tasha's hideous laughter, the funny wizard spell from the player's handbook, we need to correct the record.
Oh, we absolutely need to. We're not talking about a quirky spellcaster.
Not at all.
Tasha, or Igwulf, is historically one of the most dangerous figures in the multiverse. She is the mother of the demigod Erasmus. She was the lover and rival of the demon prince Grost. She literally wrote the book on demons, the Demonomicon.
The definitive text on abyssal horrors.
She isn't a fairy godmother. She is a warlord, a demonologist, and a conqueror.
So the tension of this entire place, of this deep dive, is that you are walking through the home of a retired supervillain who is pretending to be a saint.
And failing. That's the tragedy of it. The palace is full of cracks in the persona. She tried to pivot. She tried to rebrand herself. But you cannot simply erase centuries of, dealing with demons and conquering nations.
The past always bleeds through.
Always. And she left the evidence just lying around.
The costume room area P36 is the smoking gun for me. It's not just a closet, it's a timeline of her life.
It's a museum of her own history. And what's fascinating is that she kept them. She kept all of it.
Walk us through the mannequins.
Okay, so you walk in, And there are these mannequins, each wearing an outfit from a different stage of her life. First, you have the simple peasant dress of Natasha, the little girl raised by the witch Baba Yaga in a hut that walks on chicken legs.
Her origin story.
Then you have the flamboyant, adventurous gear of Tasha the Adventurer from her time with the Company of Seven. All leather and stylish arcane symbols.
Her heroic phase,
The morally gray phase, let's say. Then you have the dark, imposing robes of Igwilv, the Witch Queen of Perrinland. This is her full-on villain era. Skulls, dark magic, the whole 9 yards.
And
finally, the white, pristine, almost painfully bright gown of Zybilna, the fairy godmother.
She kept them all. She didn't burn the past. She put it on display in her home.
Which suggests she's not actually ashamed of who she was.
No, it suggests she's just trying something new, like trying on a new coat.
Or perhaps she's hoarding her identities. She doesn't want to let go of the power that Igwilf represents, even if she currently prefers the adoration that Zybilna receives. It's a collection.
It's a fallback plan. If this whole being nice thing doesn't work out, I still have my Witch Queen robes in the closet.
Exactly. But if you want to see the psychological toll this fracturing, the self-editing takes on a person, you have to look at the Dretch Nursery.
This is area P37 in the notes. And this is the part where the fairy tale aesthetic completely collapses into gaudy horror.
It's pure nightmare fuel.
It's a room full of ornate, beautiful cribs, but instead of babies, they contain dretches.
Which are low-level, wretched demons, ugly, slobbering, miserable things.
And the text says they aren't just summoned creatures from the abyss. They are her emotions.
Specifically, her suppressed negative emotions. The book lists them. Annoyance, loathing, rage, disgust. She used powerful ancient magic to surgically remove these feelings from herself and give them physical form.
That sounds, on one hand, efficient, but on the other, incredibly unhealthy.
It's the opposite of healthy. It's repression made manifest. It's weaponized denial. She wanted to be the good Zybilna. She wanted to be patient and kind. But she isn't naturally patient or kind.
So her solution wasn't self-improvement.
No. Instead of working on herself, instead of therapy or meditation or, personal growth, she literally cut out the parts of her soul that she deemed bad and locked them in a nursery to fester.
It suggests that she doesn't believe she can actually change. She thinks she has to amputate parts of herself to be acceptable to others, or maybe just to herself.
And it creates a terrifying question. If you remove your capacity for annoyance, what happens when someone annoys you?
You don't feel it.
You don't feel it. You are artificially placid. But those demons in the nursery, they're still part of you. They're growing. They're feeding on that repressed energy. It implies that this whole system was reaching a breaking point even before the time freeze.
It was an unstable solution from the start. And of course, that leaves her vulnerable. You can't get rid of your shadow that easily, which explains why she was so easily betrayed.
Exactly. She trusted the Hourglass Coven 3 hags because she thought she was untouchable. She thought she had solved herself. She brought them in as advisors, likely thinking she could control them.
A classic villain mistake.
A classic Igwilv mistake, really. But the hags saw the cracks. They saw the arrogance. They saw the Dretch Nursery. And they used her own artifact, her own power source, the cauldron, to freeze her.
The ultimate betrayal, using her own tool against her.
Right in the heart of her own home.
Let's talk about the cauldron, because that's the epicenter of the map, right?
Yeah.
It's where the freeze originated. And surrounding it, we have this frozen tableau of a battle in progress.
Yes, the throne room. This where the environmental storytelling gets really, really intense.
It's a masterclass in it.
It is. You have two factions locked in a standoff, the League of Malevolence and Valor's Call.
The League of Malevolence. It sounds like a Saturday morning cartoon villain roster.
They certainly dress the part. They're pulled from an old action figure line, so that makes sense. But they are a legitimate threat.
So who are the main players here?
First you have Killick, a sorcerer. He's the supposed leader. He's obsessed with power, but seemingly terrified of actually wielding it.
I love characters like that.
He's currently sitting on Zybilna's throne, pretending to be the new ruler of the palace, but the notes emphasize his fear. He's afraid of the hags. He's afraid of the monsters in the palace. He's just an imposter in a palace built by an imposter.
He's the manager who got promoted way above his competency level and is just trying not to get fired.
Precisely.
Oh.
The source says he wants the staff of power that belongs to the wizard on the other team, but he's too cowardly to just walk over and take it while the guy is frozen solid.
That's hilarious. So he's just waiting.
He's just waiting. He's a placeholder villain.
Now you have Warduke, And I feel like Warduke needs no introduction for the old-school fans, but for the newcomers, let's paint a picture.
Warduke is the visual definition of a cool, evil fighter.
Yeah.
He wears the iconic blue helmet with the bat wings. You can just see these glowing red eyes behind the visor, and he carries a massive magic flaming sword.
He's all style.
All style and all violence. He is a man of few words and extreme action.
But the interesting dynamic here, the thing that makes him more than just a brute, is that he's not a true believer in the League's cause, whatever that is.
No, not at all. He's a mercenary. The sources are explicit. He's working for Kalek because the check cleared, or because he was promised some powerful loot. He has no loyalty to Kalek personally.
So he's a potential wild card.
A huge wild card. If a group of adventurers shows up and offers him a better deal, he might just switch sides. Or kill everyone and take all the treasure for himself. He is pure, chaotic self-interest.
Then there's Zargash, the cleric of Orcus.
A priest of the demon lord of undeath, and he's the sneaky one.
Oh, so?
While everyone else is either truly frozen or, like Killick, just sort of standing around, Zargash is actually pretending to be frozen in the sludge-filled tower. He's holding a pose, waiting, watching everyone.
That adds a whole layer of paranoia for anyone exploring the palace.
It does. You look at every statue, every frozen figure, and you have to ask yourself, is that really a statue, or is it just Zargash holding his breath really, really well?
And standing against this motley crew, frozen in midair, is Veller's call.
The heroes, or the other guys, they were founded by a paladin named Strongheart to hunt down the League of Malevolence across the worlds.
And Strongheart's situation in the palace is, let's say, precarious.
Dire is the word I'd use. Describe it.
The stasis caught him while he was being blasted backward by a huge explosion, likely from Warduke's sword. He is suspended horizontally in the air, 20 feet up.
Which is bad enough.
But he's directly over a storm vortex that is still swirling endlessly beneath him in the floor of the throne room.
So the second anyone breaks the spell,
He falls.
Yeah.
Immediate gravity. He drops straight into the vortex.
It adds this layer of extreme urgency to the exploration. You can't just flip the on switch to save the day. You have to prepare to catch the victims. It forces any rescuers to be strategic, to think ahead.
You need a plan for the moment time restarts.
You need a very good plan.
There's also a wizard, Wrinkle Run, frozen while casting a spell,
Cone of Cold, I believe.
which is a fantastic visual. You have a spell effect that is paused mid-cast. It's a cone of frost and shimmering ice shards just hanging in the air like a modern art sculpture.
It shows you the sheer speed at which the stasis happened. The hags didn't give a monologue, they didn't posture, they just triggered the trap in the middle of a massive firefight.
Absolute chaos, frozen in an instant.
Exactly.
Now, outside of the frozen people, there are things that are still moving. The ecology of the palace hasn't stopped completely, and the biggest, scariest thing moving is the Jabberwock.
The apex predator, a dragon-like aberration drawn directly from the poetry of Lewis Carroll.
So it's not your typical dragon?
Oh, no. The description is unsettling. It's sinewy, pale green, its anatomy is confusing to look at, and it burps.
The burping detail is so specific. Why include that?
It adds that grotesque fey quality. It's not a majestic, noble dragon like you'd see in a high fantasy epic. It's a gurgling, stalking, animalistic nightmare. It speaks in nonsense, in what the poem calls burbling noises.
So it's more beast than sentient creature.
I think so. But the relationship between Zybilna and the Jabberwock is what interests me. She didn't hunt it, she didn't imprison it, she tamed it.
It sleeps around her cauldron, right?
Like a house cat sleeping by a fireplace. It implies that even when she was playing fairy godmother, she still wanted a monster on a leash. She likes dangerous things. She feels comfortable around apex predators because she considers herself one.
It's another crack in the facade.
A very big, very toothy crack.
But the Jabberwock has a weakness. A specific mechanical weakness derived from the lore.
It does. The Vorpal sword. Or, in this specific adventures terminology, a blade called Snickersnack.
1, 2, 1, 2. And through, the Vorpal blade went snicker-snack.
You know your Carol. Yes, if you can find that specific sword, you have a massive advantage. If not, well, the Jabberwock regenerates, doesn't it?
It does. The notes say it's nearly unkillable without the sword. It heals a significant amount of damage every few seconds unless it's been wounded by a Vorpal weapon.
It makes the creature a puzzle boss, not just a big bag of hit points. You have to understand the story, the poem to defeat the monster. You have to engage with the lore.
And it enters the palace through a hole in the bathhouse wall, which is just So undignified.
Imagine you're trying to have a nice, relaxing spa day in this luxurious Fey bathhouse, and a burping, dimension-hopping dragon crawls out of the plumbing.
That's Prismere for you.
It's typical Prismere grandeur mixed with grime.
Let's pivot to the help, because the palace has staff, and not all of them are frozen solid. We have Finnings, the butler.
Finnings is a survivor. He's a Fey creature, a darkling, but his unique trait is that he can flatten himself into 2 dimensions. He can become paper-thin.
So he's basically a living shadow.
Almost literally. The sources describe him as a paper-thin spy.
That is an incredibly useful ability for someone in his position. A butler sees everything.
Especially now. He is loyal to Zybilna, but he is terrified of the League of Malevolence. So he's currently hiding, he's in the skirting boards, he's sliding under doors, he's watching everything from the cracks in the walls.
He's the eyes and ears of the palace.
Absolutely. He's a crucial source of intel for anyone trying to figure out what's going on. He knows the passwords, he knows the layout, he knows the secrets.
If you can get him to trust you.
If he's skittish, he represents the fear that permeates the palace right now. The master is gone, the wolves are in the house, and the servants are hiding in the walls.
And then we have the kitchen staff.
The pixies.
Right, the pixies. They're frozen, right?
They are. Frozen mid-baking of a massive 8-tier cake.
An 8-tier cake. Who was that for?
For a Fomorian giant named Dubfergale, who is supposed to be a guest. It's another one of those snapshots of a day that was violently interrupted.
And then we have the library. I love a good library level in any deep dive, and this one have a great twist. It's run by a hunchback named Sean.
But the hump is the twist. It's not a spinal deformity. It's a giant, intelligent spider named Gray hiding under his shawl.
And the spider is the nice one.
Exactly. It's another perfect Feywild reversal. Sean is a total curmudgeon. He's grumpy, he wants people to stop touching the books, he's rude. Gray, the giant spider on his back, is the intellectual. Gray speaks common, he's polite, he's incredibly helpful.
So it's another duality. Everything in this palace comes in pairs or contradictions.
Everything. You judge the man by his appearance, by his deformity, but the monster on his back is the one with the manners and the knowledge. It's a lesson in not judging a book or a librarian by its cover.
Speaking of contradictions in books, there's a section of secret books in Area P43.
This is a detail that I think a lot of people might overlook, but it's so revealing. These books, they appear completely blank to the naked eye.
So how do you read them?
They only reveal their contents if you speak the exact title aloud.
Which means you have to already know what you're looking for to find it. You can't browse.
It's the ultimate gatekeeping of knowledge. It perfectly reflects Igwil's paranoia. She believes power and knowledge should be earned, not stumbled upon. You can't just wander into her library and discover her deepest secrets. You have to come in already knowing the password.
It's security through obscurity, but taken to a magical extreme.
And it also implies she has a network of people she shares these titles with. You don't make a system like that just for yourself. You make it for a very exclusive club of allies or students.
Or she makes it for herself, to remind herself of what she knows. A library of secrets that only she can read. A way to test her own memory.
That's also a great point. It's a test of her own mind.
Let's talk about the weirdest encounter in the palace, purely from a roleplay perspective.
The talking door.
Area P41. A door carved to look like a giant cat's head. And it will not open for a key. It won't open for strength. It won't even open for a knock spell.
So what's the trick?
It opens for debate.
You have to win an argument with the door. You do, and the topics aren't simple riddles like what has an eye but cannot see. They are high philosophy. The sources list examples like, which is more important, intelligence or wisdom? Or, are we at the mercy of fate, or do we create our own destiny?
Or is the pen mightier than the sword?
Exactly.
I can just see a party of adventurers, covered in grime, running from Warduke, desperate to get through this door to safety.
Yeah.
And the door's like, hold on, but first, let's define truth in a post-moral universe.
Yeah.
You have 5 minutes.
I need a thesis statement and 2 supporting arguments before I unlock.
Yeah.
But it serves a purpose. It forces anyone in the palace to engage with the themes of the adventure. Zybilna, or Igwil, loves intellect. She values wit over brute force.
So this door is a test of that.
It is. If you are just a murder hobo, as they say, someone who only solves problems with a sword, you are going to get stuck here. You have to be able to think, to articulate a point of view.
And the door doesn't care which side you take. Right. It's not about being correct.
Correct. You just have to make a persuasive argument. It values rhetoric, which, again, fits Igwilf perfectly. She is a master manipulator. She knows that truth is malleable if you argue well enough.
Okay, there is another location that adds a bit of whimsy to the horror and the philosophy. The dining terrace.
With Demitas,
The animated spoon.
the head waiter, thank you very much. Demitas is an animated silver spoon who leads a whole troupe of animated cutlery and crockery.
And they're not frozen?
No, they're still working. They are still serving tea and soup to anyone who sits down, even though the palace is under siege and half frozen.
It's the keep calm and carry on mentality of the service industry, taken to its magical extreme.
It is, and the soup actually provides mechanical benefits. It grants temporary hit points. It's a little oasis of hospitality in the middle of this frozen crisis.
That's a nice touch.
But it's also poignant. These animated objects are just fulfilling their purpose. Even without their mistress, they are loyal to the routine. Demitas even helps the adventurers. He teaches them a rhyme that can be used to lure Thinnings the butler out of hiding.
So the spoon is an ally.
The spoon is a critical ally, only in the Feywild.
Only in the Feywild.
Yeah.
Now, there's one more layer to this deep dive that we absolutely have to address. We know she's Tasha. We know she's Egwilf. But there's a mother figure looming over all of this.
Baba Yaga?
The mother of witches.
Wow.
The woman who raised Tasha.
You cannot discuss Egwilf without discussing Baba Yaga. Their relationship defines so much of who she became.
So how does she factor into the palace? She's not physically there, is she?
No, but her shadow is everywhere. It's in the passwords. There's a puzzle in the hallway with the decapitated heads area P34.
That sounds lovely.
It's as grotesque as it sounds. 4 severed heads, a bugbear, a harpy, a troll, and a hobgoblin, just sitting in these little cubby holes in the wall. When you open their little doors, they scream out syllables.
And the syllables are?
Ba, Yaga, and Ba.
So the combination is?
The correct sequence to bypass the trap spells out Baba Yaga.
That's the password to get to her inner sanctum. Her mother's name.
It is. Think about that. Despite everything, despite becoming an archfey, despite the costumes, despite the demons, despite ruling her own domain, the word that opens her deepest, most personal doors is Mom.
That is incredibly humanizing. And a little sad, honestly.
It reveals that her core identity is still that little girl in the hut. She is defined by that relationship, for better or worse. It's a tether she can't cut. She's hiding from her enemies, she is reinventing herself, but she wraps her most intimate security around the name of the one person she fears and respects above all others.
And Baba Yaga's not the only one from her past trying to get in, is she? We have Gress.
The demon prince, the ex-boyfriend, the father of her child, he's always lurking.
And he has agents inside the palace. The sources mention Lamius in her bedroom.
Yes. Lamias are these leonine monstrosities often associated with Grasset's cults. These two are spies. They have magic mirrors that act as communication devices back to their master in the abyss.
So they're just hiding in her bedroom.
Lurking in her private quarters, yes. Trying to find definitive proof that Zybilna is Egwilf so they can report back.
So Grossetts knows something is up. He just doesn't have confirmation.
He suspects. He's sniffing around. And Zybilna knows he's sniffing around, which is why she has a little trophy of her own. She caught one of his other spies, an incubus, and put him in a cage.
Where is he?
In Area P30. He posed as an emissary from the summer court, but she saw right through the disguise.
But she kept him. She didn't banish him. She didn't kill him. She put him in a cage and kept him close.
Again, she creates these little zoos of her past. She can't let go of anything. An incubus is a tempter, a demon of desire. Maybe she likes having the temptation there just to prove to herself that she can resist it.
Or maybe she misses the game. She misses the intrigue of the abyss.
It's completely ambiguous, and that ambiguity is what makes her such a compelling villain or hero, depending on your perspective and what happens when she wakes up.
So if we synthesize all this, the Palace of Heart's Desire is a misnomer. Or maybe it's just deeply ironic.
I think it's literal. Her heart's desire is to be adored, to be safe, and to be powerful all at the same time, but those desires are in direct conflict.
You can't be a feared witch queen and a beloved fairy godmother.
Not authentically, no. You can't be open and welcoming to the world and be cripplingly paranoid about your secrets. The palace is the physical result of that internal war. It's a beautiful, broken machine that tore itself apart before the first intruder even stepped inside.
And any adventurers walking in are just engineers, I guess, trying to hotwire this broken machine without blowing themselves up.
Essentially, they are walking into a psychotic break that has been frozen in amber, and their job is to decide which version of the woman wakes up.
That's a huge responsibility.
It is. Do they wake up Zybilna, the Avatar of Mercy? Or do they wake up Egwilf, the Witch Queen? And the answer isn't a switch you flip.
It depends on their actions within the palace.
Exactly. If they go in and smash her glass statues, if they steal her secret books, if they kill her pet Jabberwock, they might just wake up the monster. The dungeon reacts to them because the dungeon is the owner.
So here is the final thought for our listeners to take away. We often think of these adventure locations, these dungeons, as just places to loot. Go to room A, kill monster B, get treasure C.
Right, a checklist.
But the best ones, like this, they're stories. They're character studies you can walk through. Zybilna tried to freeze time to keep her perfect new world safe, but all she did was trap herself with her own demons. Literally, in the case of the nursery.
It's a warning against stagnation. You have to move forward, you have to integrate your past, you can't just cut it out and lock it away. Sooner or later, the beanstalks will tear your house down.
So check your own closets for dretches, everyone.
Right.
And maybe, just maybe, don't use your mother's name as your password.
It's bad security.
It's terrible security, and it reveals way too much about your childhood.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
Until next time.